even say all this shit now. I'm having a Biden moment. Look at the comments. Looks like he's destroying to build back better. Two wings are the same. Can we survive with everything destroyed though? I mean, like let's say for instance you want to build an extra, you want to fix your house up, you want to remodel your home. Do you destroy the whole house to do that? Let me go ahead and start the line. That's an interesting point though. But do you destroy your whole house to begin making it better again? Or do you do it in sections? You don't tear the whole house down, do you? All right, it is your boy Tim. Once again, good evening. Welcome to the program. We're going to be talking about the goal of President Trump. I want to get clarity on this because I'm going to admit, this is yet another one of those cases where I'm going to admit ignorance. I'm starting to wonder, what is the goal of President Trump? Originally, my belief was that it was about restoring the economy, making sure we didn't get involved in any new overseas conflicts, and securing the border. That's what I was under the impression that Trump was in there to do. But it is expanded in so many areas that I am now confused as to what is he trying to do. So I want to hear from you folks. What is the goal of President Trump? Steve S. in the comments says Trump for emperor. Wow. So you think that Trump is trying to be an emperor? All right. Well, we can certainly entertain that. Do you think that's possible in this environment? Let me just ask this. If Trump tried to become an emperor, do you think the Republicans that are in control of the House and Senate would attempt to stop him? Do you feel confident that if Trump tried to do something like that, the Republicans that are in control of the House and Senate would try to stop it? So, because if you believe he's trying to be an emperor, that's where it comes. That's where it has to be stopped from. So we'll certainly talk about that. How about cutting the deficit? I don't know. When you're talking about the largest deportation in history, I don't know if what he is talking about doing while cutting the deficit. I don't know if those two things go hand in hand. I don't know if you can do them both at the same time in only 4 years. Hopefully that's what he's trying to do. But I want to tell you this before I start taking calls and really getting into the meat and potatoes of the program. In regards to cutting the deficit, I've said this many times, because right now Elon Musk is bragging about how much shit he's finding with USAid, how much stuff he's finding that USAid has been wasting our money on. I'm going to tell you this. If at the end of the day it doesn't make a damn bit of difference to me financially, then I don't really care about it. Okay, you stop funding bullshit causes, trying to figure out, how deep does an earthworm go or something stupid. But if it doesn't make any difference to me as a citizen financially, it's nothing to jump up and down about. Because as dumb as some of the stuff he is stopping sounds, you're firing people. He is costing American jobs with that stuff. So if you're going to get rid of American jobs, at least make it so that the other Americans are seeing some benefit from it. I mean, everything that they are canceling with USA, every one of those programs they tell you that they've gotten rid of, that's people's jobs that are being canceled. So if you're going to fire Americans, let some other Americans see some benefit of that. Telling me you saved the country $20 billion over here and you fired 300 Americans and I don't see any benefit from it at all, then I'm not going to jump up and down about that. You stop wasting money, but okay, where did the money you stopped wasting go? I mean, if you're going to tell us that you saved this country 50 million or 50 billion or 100 billion or $1 trillion, somebody needs to ask, well, what are you doing with that money now? If no American is seeing any difference in their life financially, that means somebody else is out there enjoying that money. So don't just tell us what you're saving, tell us what you're doing with it. Because you may start noticing that Elon Musk stock is shooting up. He may be saving money to pocket it for himself. So I'm going to say I'm happy to hear that we're saving money that would normally go to ridiculous causes, but without any explanation of where the money is going, it's irrelevant to me. In fact, you could be going from one form of corruption to another. So he should have to explain where the money is going. Otherwise, like I said, I don't see what people are jumping up and down about. Anyhow, looking in the comments, Pelosi, AOC, Summers bank accounts went up, says Johnny G. Moon. And that's something else that I have some reservations for, is that when you hear Elon Musk pointing out the things that he is saving us money for, you notice it's all liberal causes. It's all progressive sounding bullshit. That's fine if you can find a bunch of progressives or liberals wasting our tax money and you get that under wraps, that's something to celebrate. But if you come out where there's no Republican waste at all, there are no conservative issues, then now something is wrong. You're going to tell me the Republican Party is 100% fiscally responsible? Notice how nothing that he is finding leans right. You haven't found any studies on how religion affects kids or anything like that at all. Or the benefits of training an 8-year-old how to use an AR-15. There's nothing like that out there. This is all liberal stuff, huh? That is something that I question as well, is that he's only finding liberal and progressive waste. Now, I have a video that I should have had queued up because I do want you guys to hear this because it answers some of what I just talked about. It does answer some of what I just talked about. I'll go ahead and see if I can play this for a quick minute. I don't want to fuck around and get the, the copyright, but it can be taken out later. But I do want you guys to hear this. And looking in the comments, build a defense that surrounds U.S. and Canada. Well, you can't just go around doing all kinds of things, Steve S. in the comments, without, I think that Trump is kind of taking on a mantra of fuck Canada. They just gonna go along with whatever we do. That ain't how it's supposed to work. I want you guys to hear this clip, and then I'm gonna start taking phone calls, or you know how we do the program. We are on TikTok and Instagram Live for folks who want to call in. You know how the show is always ran. So we are on all platforms at this point. But I do believe this is something worthy of hearing. This is Cuomo of News Nation. Now, I know a hell of a lot of folks on the right have their own, and on the left too, both sides of the aisle. People, believe and disbelieve different news agents or whatever the case may be. We can certainly tackle that, but I want you to hear this particular clip. I'm not gonna play it all, it's a couple minutes or so, but I do want you to hear this.
Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to News Nation, where we call out the political game. I have 3 points that will undress all the breathless BS we've had to tolerate the last few days. First, side note, I was driving here tonight, and there was a Jeep on the side of the road and had its blink.
Okay, I'm going to stop this because I don't think this is the shit I want to hear. This is about Elon Musk getting spending under control. This is not that fucking clip. I apologize. I'll find it in the middle of the show. I want you to hear it because it talks about what he did with USAid, and there's something important I think that comes up out of it. So looking in the comment section here, Trump for prison 2025, that's not going to happen. There's zero chance of Trump doing any time. I think that is, in fact, anybody that's attempting to put Trump in jail is more likely to serve time than Trump himself. So I think you can get over any notion that Trump is going to get locked up. The quicker you get past that, probably the better. But Trump is not going to jail for any reason at all. I'm trying to see real quick in here if you'll give me one. I'm really pissed off I don't have this clip queued up for what we're discussing. I want to get to taking calls, but I'm trying to find it real quick, and if I don't, we're going to just move on. But I know I wanted to bring it up because it's Elon Musk, and when it comes to USAid, how much shit he did, it turns out a lot of you folks are not aware, but Elon Musk, while he's pointing out all the shit that that USAid paid for, they gave him a lot of money too. And I wanted you to hear how it went to him because he's not telling you about that. He is not telling you the fact that USAid gave him a bunch of money. And I think that is something that we should discuss. And it talks about how it out. Anyway, going back to the box, we're going straight to the box. Red G just dropped right when I was going to pick him. We'll go to KJ. Good evening, KJ. I had to look behind the screen so my TikTok paused for a minute there. But KJ, good evening. I'm doing good. I'm asking a simple question. What is the goal of the Trump administration? Based on what you've seen right now, what do you think the goal is?
Get rich.
Get rich. That's it? What do you got to explain that? What do you mean get rich?
I mean, I think everything's about money. I'm actually kind of concerned with some things that I've read recently the last couple of days. I feel like Elon he's on his way to being the first trillionaire.
Yeah, that is undeniable.
They just got rid of one of their tariff rules. That
is undeniable in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about the money. It's about the score, right? And that's the trick to it.
What do you mean about the score?
What was it? Warren Buffett or something like? I think it was Warren Buffett. Like, the guy's richer than rich. He'll never be able to spend the amount of money he has. But every morning he goes and gets a sausage McMuffin from McDonald's. If his stocks are up that day, he adds egg to it. Right? He gets a sausage McMuffin with egg. But if his stocks are not doing well that morning, he doesn't get the egg.
What the hell?
It has nothing. Yeah, it was the strangest thing, but it's like, if you think about it, when you get to the point where you have more money than you could ever spend, it's not about the money now, it's about keeping score and winning the game. You know, and I feel like that's what it is for him right now. You know, I'm going to be the first trillionaire. The concern that I have, and I don't know if you've heard about this, by the way, I was on one of the lives yesterday watching and listening to you get a...
I hate people see... when I have to go into MAGA lives, I like to be able to, sharpen up my chops, but I hate when people see me there because they're screaming matches. There's no other way to communicate because everybody's attacking you, and it's me in a different light. I hate when people see it, but yeah, I'm glad you tuned in.
I requested to join because I wanted to take some of the fire for you. You were making excellent points, and it was hilarious to me that they get mad at you about it and try and shut you down. But here's what I've been reading, right? Okay, so it kind of goes like this. Elon has major manufacturing for Teslas in China and major connections with China, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Now, why were they trying to ban TikTok here?
So they claim it was because it was a matter of national security.
Correct, because the Chinese government has a system that any company operating within or whatever, they can demand whatever information from that company and it has to be given.
Okay.
Okay. So if Elon is heavily tied to China, I'm trying to remember which person pointed it out the other day. Oh, it was the other night on, not last night, but the week before on Bill Maher. The guy said, you've heard all the things that Elon has said. He's never, ever, ever said a bad word about China because he's so in bed with China. He's so ingrained in their financials and everything else in his businesses. But that also applies to him. Okay, so the fear, he now is trying, well, he just got blocked on the access to the Treasury and all of that, right?
For now.
But the fear, for now, right? But what happens when China tells them they want that information? What happens when they say, you have to give us the information you have? These kids are hooking up servers to these things and downloading all this information.
What are you trying to indicate? Wait, what you're talking about sounds kind of scary. Are you saying that it's possible that Elon Musk may be a backdoor agent for China?
I absolutely think that's possible, and I know it sounds hyperbolic, but if you just, it's crazy when you think about it. But yes, I 100% think that.
Wow.
It's a scary proposition, but that's the thing. So let's go with this USAID stuff right now. Okay. Now he's supposed to be weeding out corruption and fraud and waste. Okay? So he picks a $50 billion a year organization. Okay? Last year, the Pentagon failed its 7th straight audit. In 2023, which was the latest numbers I could find, the Pentagon couldn't account for 63% of their $3.8 trillion in assets. Okay? That's $2.394 trillion.
Now that's gonna be things, but you're talking about things like fighter jets and things like that. It don't take many of those to add up to a lot of money.
Correct. That's what it is, and what the complaint is, and I guess the GAO has been on the Pentagon since 1981 about this. Their accounting system and where they have things, it's just a complete mess, right? And so what's happening is parts that exist here, and they have them, they're ordering more and more and more because they don't know where anything is. They can't account for it. So either did it disappear? Does it exist here? We don't know. If you're going to take a group of computer geeks, right, Big Balls and all the other kids that Elon's got, these computer hacker kids, and you're going to fix a computer system and get rid of fraud, corruption, and waste, why wouldn't you start there?
You know, that's the video I wanted to play. I got it queued up. I'll play it after you and I talk, but that was exactly what folks were saying, is that USAid represents less, I think like 1 or 2, like less than 1%, if I'm correct, of the US budget. And he asked that question, like, why would you start there? And he gives a really good reason why. And it is that Elon has beef. Yeah, Elon has beef with USAid.
Well, I think it's beef with USAID, but think about this. What happens when USAID steps out of all these African countries and these South American countries and whatnot, and they just cut off all funding to that?
Then China's going to step in.
Exactly. More reason to think that Elon is helping China. Elon cares about that. I mean, in the end, he's a South African, he's not an American.
Right.
And there's a reason why we say that you have to be a natural born citizen to be president of the United States, because the power that's given to that person, you have to believe and trust as best you can that person has the United States interest at heart. But he's literally handing it over to a foreigner.
So you don't see Elon Musk as a patriot at all?
No, not at all.
Yeah, you're not. I mean, I've probably had 40 people to say the same thing you're saying, is that they came to the same conclusion as you, different ways. But yeah, there's a whole lot of Americans that think that Elon Musk may be, a double agent, so to speak, or working for a different country simply because he's been a citizen in multiple places.
Right. And, I'm scared we're going to find that out. And the way we're going to find out is our economic system is going to be destroyed, and
why does it? But Trump is supposedly a very successful businessman. Why doesn't he see what you see?
Because he's not a successful businessman. He was broke until they put him on The Apprentice.
You think so? You think before Trump went on The Apprentice, he was broke?
He was absolutely broke. His daughter talked about it. How she was saying that some guy had a bum on the street had $300 million more than he did because he was so deep in debt. His daughter told that story. I haven't
heard that. That's one I would like to hear. I don't think he was broke, but in regards to whether he was a successful businessman or not, he has had multiple bankruptcies and things like that, but I tend to still think he was successful. You don't think he's a successful businessman?
No. There were 2 Page 6 writers from the 80s. That's how Donald Trump became a billionaire. And they both, there was a Netflix documentary, they were both on it back in, I think it was 2020 or something, during the last election cycle that he was running and lost. But they were like all these things about Trump, and they were like, yeah, he used to literally call in, give dirt on the New York social scene, and he'd say they could quote him, but when they listed him in the article, when they mentioned him to quote him, they had to say billionaire Donald Trump. And they laughed, and they were like, yeah, I don't care, I'll write billionaire Donald Trump. And people start to think he's a billionaire. but he never was. You know, why didn't he release his taxes?
Well, probably because he was using methods to get around paying taxes that he didn't want to be chastised for. Real quick in the comments, Public Enemy, you're on horizontal. So you asked which YouTube you're on. You're on horizontal. But yeah, my guess is the way he would, because he admitted kind of like, look, you can't fault me for using loopholes that existed in the tax system. You can't blame me for not paying more in taxes than I have to. If they let me not pay anything, it's the system's fault. It ain't my fault. So my guess is,
I remember when he said that.
yeah. So my guess is he knew after what happened to Mitt Romney, he didn't want to go through that. So he just came up with this excuse of, I'm being audited, so I'm not going to release him until they're done with the audit. And then once they were done with the audit, he still didn't release him. But he just came up with that as an excuse.
Or I don't want people to see how in debt I actually am and who I owe money to. And I'm maintaining this lifestyle because I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know?
Could be. Now, I do believe for a fact that when he came down the golden escalator and said, I'm rich, I'm very rich, I'm rich, I'm worth 15 billion. I think that's a lie because I don't care what Trump is saying. If it involves numbers that describe him in any way, those numbers are going to be inflated. We're talking about inauguration size. I'm talking about his measurements on his mugshot. I'm talking about his wealth. I'm talking about his height. I'm talking about his weight. Probably his dick size. Any number he gives in regards to himself is going to be exaggerated. That's just what he does. In regards to how much he won the election by, he exaggerates. So if what you're saying is that on his taxes, it was going to show that his numbers were greatly exaggerated, then I kind of have to buy that. I don't disagree with that.
So you're a pretty smart guy. Can I ask you if you can name another rich person that talks about how rich they are?
Well, all of the hip hop community does it all the time.
Okay, I'll give you that. And so
Floyd Mayweather, the boxer, it's mostly black people. A lot of black people, but because we used to be poor and shit, so when we get our hands on some money, we brag about it. But Floyd Mayweather's another one. He carries around a gym bag with $1 million in it all the time.
Okay. But did Floyd Mayweather come from money?
No, I don't believe so.
Or any of these other rappers for that matter? Did they come from money, or did they literally are the true American dream type story? Up in the hood, made it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a real good point.
But have you ever heard of anybody? Now remember, Trump came from money. He's been wealthy his entire life from his dad's money. You know, he inherited $500 million from the guy. You know, but he's the only guy I've ever seen. You know, and even then, unless you're a rapper. Or Floyd Mayweather, I guess. But other than that, I mean, I can't think Bill Gates never talked about.
No, you're right. You are right. Most people that are, certainly when you started talking about 100 million or more, most of them try to downplay. They don't want to talk about money. Most of them, you're right. They don't brag about how much they're worth.
And because I believe it's kind of, the smartest guy in the room never said, I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And when you have to say it, now I got a question. Are you?
But you got to give Trump credit. He has made a fortune, and he has gathered a lot of success in terms of how he's viewed and all of that by bragging about his wealth and all of that. He kind of remember, I don't know if you remember, if you watched a lot of WWF, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, this is what he does. He's made a killing off of bragging about how great he is.
Now, see, that's the funny part, right? Because that's what the $1 Million DiBiase, wasn't he a wrestler?
Yeah.
Right. So all that show and all of that, I don't know. To me, it's. I always think back to I remember when the right freaked out because Obama wore a tan suit and brought this indignity to the presidency.
Yeah.
Or the selfie stick in the Oval Office. Oh my God. And now we've got a president that really we could actually say he used the same mode as a WWF wrestler.
Yeah. But you can't hate on what works. By bragging like that, there's a whole lot of poor Americans that wish they could have the money of Trump or what he's saying he's worth, and that was enough to really flip a lot of people into looking at this guy like he was great.
Right. No, I mean he's a marketing genius. He really is. I'll give him that. but taking the job seriously, it's still the funniest thing. I was talking to my dad about this the other day, right? If you ever look at a president when they go into the Oval Office and 4 or 8 years later when they come out, they look 10 or 20 years older. Donald Trump hasn't changed, right? He still looks the same age to me.
Yeah,
right?
but you gotta be, but I mean,
believe it's because these people took it serious.
So you don't think Trump takes the presidency serious?
No.
They tried to kill him 3 times. They tried to kill him. You don't think he takes that serious? They tried to throw him in prison. He almost went to prison. Regardless of who did it or why, he almost went to prison. He got lucky.
I agree 100%. Could you help me out though? Because I don't know. I keep hearing lately 3 times. What was the 3rd time?
Well, okay, yeah, right. Okay, it was
golf course.
Yeah, there was a golf course. Then obviously they pierced his ear. There was I'm trying to think what there is a 3rd one out there. It didn't culminate to anything, but there is a 3rd case out there. Some folks are saying it was fake. Okay, so if it didn't happen, I can't answer that. So I'll say 2 then, because I don't have enough facts to back up that 3rd claim. So we'll say 2 then.
Yeah, and see, that's the crazy thing about what's going on right now, right? Because I remember Butler, and I remember them catching a guy 2 holes or 3 holes ahead of him on his golf course in Florida, but then people just start saying 3 times, and then all of a sudden we start to think that's real.
Well, I've heard a rumor that if you tell a lie enough, people start to believe it. I gotta move it on though. But you're right. I'll say 2 from now on. I'll say 2 until I can see some more evidence.
Thank you, Tim. You have a good day, man.
KJ, it's a pleasure. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. I do want to play this clip. This is what I was talking about before I go back to the next caller. And I'm going to ask you folks to tap the screen. What is this? His wife thinks about it, says Jay Evans. Tap the screen. Help out the program. Helps out the algorithm. Get the likes up to about 15,000. THOU. Tap the screen, get your boy likes up. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Smash that like button on TikTok and better yet and on YouTube, and feel free to follow if you like this type of dialogue. We are MAGA friendly, always have been, always will be. You can be critical of anybody on the program, including the host. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So we're about free speech here. This is a clip. This is in regards to Elon and all of the great things he's been doing at Doge to uncover the waste at USAid.
Everybody wants to see less waste, fraud, and abuse in government. We hear it from every politician asking for power. They just don't deliver. And it should be easy. Estimates of what they call in politics WFA, that's how common it is. It has its own acronym, waste, fraud, and abuse. The estimates are wild. Reports say anywhere from $100 to $500 billion. Another estimate says 5% of all global funding by the federal government is wasted. The OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, just reported that in 2022, the government spent $247 billion in improper payments. What does that mean? Payments made in error, duplicate, or without proper basis. The GAO, the Government Accountability Office, which both sides rely on for government research, has a high alert list of programs and areas that need to be checked. The Department of Defense, care, the prison system, food safety, cybersecurity, they're all there. Major concerns of mismanagement and waste, fraud, and abuse.
Here we go.
But I have suspicions about what we're seeing here early on, and increasingly they are justified. Now, that list I just told you, the high alert list that the GAO does, do you know what's not on that priority list? USAID. Why? Well, one, it's relatively small. It's less than 1% of the federal budget. And by the way, its share of the budget has shrunk since Reagan, so it's not like it's rapidly growing. I'm not saying there isn't waste there, and the more...
I want you to continue hearing this, but notice he's already said that USAID, the one we're hearing about everywhere, that's less than 1% of the U.S. budget. So clearly there's a hell of a lot more waste out there, but I want you to hear why USAID is the one that's getting so much attention.
Or you find, the better. I'm on board. And it's got a $44 billion budget. But that's nothing compared to the people on this list. Health and Human Services, $2.4 trillion. Department of Defense, $1.3 trillion. This is in 1 year. AID is not even in the top 10. It's not even close. And guess what? We spend more on federal prisons than we do on foreign aid every year.
And that's ridiculous as well, because you know a lot of those prisons are for profit. So you want to talk about waste? You can bet your ass that there's a hell of a lot of people profiting off the incarceration of Americans. And now that they're rounding up immigrants, they're just counting the money. They're just counting the money because they're going to be putting them in there.
Think about that. On federal prisons, more than on foreign aid. Think about it. So, again, I can't think of a reason to be against efficiency efforts, but why start with USAID? And I think the answer is about who's looking, and that's Elon Musk. Now, the first reason is, from what I can glean, is it's low fruit. It's easy. USAID isn't attached to a big dog like Lockheed Martin or AT&T or Microsoft, all of whom feed at the government trough way more than USAID. And those companies have had real issues with hacking and cost overruns, which I'll tell you in a second. And then I got suspicious because this MAGA Pod Bros story that broke, of course, on Twitter, falsely claiming that USAID was funding Politico and other outlets with these huge amounts. They never break things that are correct, and sure enough, it wasn't correct. USAID wasn't feeding them in these huge amounts as suggested. So why did they get fed this story, and by whom? Again, I think it points to Elon Musk. And so then we started doing more reporting, and guess what comes out? Did you know that Elon Musk is one of the entities benefiting from USAID? Thousands of Starlink terminals from Musk's satellite internet company provided to Ukraine. We all know the story, right? Didn't you think he gave them all? Turns out he didn't. But it did give access to Musk's advanced internet system to people who needed it. Now, problem with that promise is he said only Ukraine would have access, not Russia. But now there's evidence and allegations that Russians did have access, their military. So what did USAID do? They opened an investigation into Elon Musk this past September. You didn't know that, did you? USAID paid Politico only 40 grand in U.S. subscriptions in 2023, 2024. You want to end them, fine. The whole entire federal government paid Politico $8 million for subscriptions in 2024. And by the way,
he goes down the laundry list. We could cover it. I don't want to, play much more of it, but you do hear something that has not came out. Two things. First being Elon Musk has received quite a bit of money himself. I think he's at $1 million or more from USAid. You have not heard that mentioned before because people did believe that Elon Musk was kind of being generous with Starlink and letting people use it without charging them over in the Ukraine-Russian war theater. Turns out he was making money from that. You don't hear the right talking about that. And then, of course, the bombshell is that we're actually investigating him. So it's true he may be finding, while it is true he may be finding waste from USAID, and that's a good thing, he's not doing it in regards to actually helping the nation. He's doing it because USAID is a perceived enemy. So he's doing it for himself. He's not doing it for the country. You just happen to be a beneficiary of it to some degree because he's catching waste. But catching waste was not the goal. The goal is going after the people that are investigating them. And obviously, because they're in power now, any investigation will never culminate. So you'll never find out if Elon Musk did anything wrong. They're not covering any of that. So just want to let you guys hear stuff because you only hear one way. Oftentimes there's other ways out there. So going to the box, he needs to go immediately, says Debo. Well, Trump loves him. Trump loves him. In fact, we were talking about the goal of the Trump administration. I want to also ask you folks something before we start taking calls. We're going to talk about how do you feel about Elon Musk? We talked about him several times. One being because he had that whole salute thing, my heart goes out to you. Then after doing the salute, he went over and he did an interview, or better yet, did a press conference with folks in Germany and started telling them that they should get to the point where they're not feeling guilty, basically about like the Holocaust and things of that nature.
Very important is that people take pride in Germany and being German. This is very important. It's okay to be proud to be German. This is a very important principle. I think there's frankly too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that. Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents, their great grandparents, maybe even.
Their great-grandparents is literally the era of 1930s. I mean, that's like literally, he's literally singling out that era during the whole Holocaust and things like that. Now, he's talking to a far-right German audience and telling them that. So we got the salute. We got him telling Germans that they should not feel, guilty for what happened in the past. And now, this has only been 3 weeks, folks, and now
His ally, Elon Musk. The billionaire has been making headlines over the actions of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, which he now leads. Now, from being accused of overreach into federal departments to demanding fatigue-inducing work hours from DOGE employees, Elon Musk has not having a good week. In fact, now Musk and DOGE are caught in another controversy. A senior DOGE employee was asked to leave the team after facing backlash over his previous posts on social media that were racist. Marco Elise, the former DOGE staffer, urged his followers on social media to quote-unquote normalize hate against Indians. According to an NPR report, Elise frequently boasted about his anti-Indian and anti-immigration stance, and he once tweeted, quote, "I was racist before it was cool," end quote. Now, Elise is a 25-year-old software engineer who was working for DOGE and was given access to the Treasury Department, where he had access to sensitive banking data of millions.
Now, he had to resign when all of that bullshit came out. Elon Musk wants to put him back in that position. Why am I bringing all this stuff up? Because we are adamantly certain there's no racist issues offered around Elon Musk. He loves everybody. It's only been 3 weeks, and all of this has come out about this one guy. All right, I'm going to go to the box. And he did, the guy resigned, but Elon Musk and Trump, with the, the blessing of J.D. Vance, all said bring the guy back. So we know at least one person is confirmed to be a racist that's working for the administration. That's undeniable. I mean, he pretty much is bragging about it. Jeremy, good evening. Welcome to the program, Jeremy. Now, Jeremy, you're MAGA. You'd be the perfect person. What is your opinion of Elon?
My opinion of Elon is he's not racist at all, and he was totally right what he said to those Germans.
So they shouldn't feel guilty about what their grandparents did.
No, I'm sick of this shit. It's like when that journalist that I keep telling you to look up, Timothy, wore a shirt that said it's okay to be white.
So, but why would you go over and tell them? I mean, like he's an American. Why are you telling the Germans that they should stop feeling guilty for the Holocaust and all that? Why is he even getting involved in that? What would be the purpose of that? You're on mute, Jeremy. You are. I don't know if he got a call. I'll give. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Why would he go to Germany to even do that?
For two reasons. Number one, he's got a big enough platform where I think he can say things that he's probably felt for a long time and wanted to say for a long time. Kind of like how celebrities kind of tell us things that they want us to believe.
Nobody tells you that you shouldn't feel guilty if your parents were responsible for murdering millions of Jews. I've never heard nobody do that.
Yeah, well, two things. Number one, it's more like their great-grandparents, so it's way more, so you got to give them credit for how separated they are. Secondly, if my dad shot someone in the head for no good reason, I'm not responsible for that. Fuck that.
No, you're not.
I'm not him.
But are you benefiting from him shooting somebody in the head like that? Because they robbed those folks, and they use that wealth. You got to assume that all of the money they took from them folks has passed down for only, 3 generations? So there are Germans that are alive today that benefited from what they did.
I find it rich that you would say that because, let me think about it like this. Okay. What if you were 3 years old when that happened?
Okay. And I grew up I'm 3 years old. I'm 3 years old when my great-grandmother or father murdered somebody. And then when I'm 18, I find out that some of the wealth is benefiting me. And you telling me I shouldn't feel guilty about that at all?
No.
Okay, fair. I can't push that any further, but you and I totally disagree on that. I know that if my great-grandfather had not done this to that family, I wouldn't be living this large, or I wouldn't be living this comfortable. I wouldn't have whatever I have. That's not in our society where we're talking about everything being achieved by merit, working hard. Isn't that exactly the opposite of that?
First off, most Germans were not SS officers. Or in
Doesn't
the
matter.
SS,
You don't need to be.
not the German army,
Right.
but specifically the SS were the ones who carried out most of those atrocities.
Right.
And the SS was very different from the regular army. It was voluntary.
Right. But you don't need to partake in something to benefit from it. I mean, you got rid of a whole group of your society and took all of their wealth. That's not going to just end with SS officers. We all benefit from that.
Matter. It doesn't matter if you benefit.
What do you mean it
If you
doesn't
don't
matter?
have the ability to say no, then you're not responsible.
You know, I agree with you. You don't have the right to say no, but you still can feel some kind of way for the fact that they took this from somebody to make my life better. And they may have killed the person they took it from.
After a certain amount of generations, there's only so much you can really do to undo that. And at some point, you gotta let it go. Like if it was one generation, like it was immediate children of that, maybe there could be some kind of financial reparations because money is fungible and you can then keep money that was stored up, by like a family of Germans or something like that had that money and then give it back to the children of that. But after a certain amount of generations, and there's going to be people who. So
what you're basically saying? Can you imagine if a Muslim came to this country and told Muslims, you should not feel guilty at all for what Bin Laden did? Maybe even talking to Bin Laden's kids. You shouldn't feel sorry at all for what your father or what your grandfather did. You think that's correct, right?
Actually, I wouldn't blame them at all if they had nothing to do with it.
And you think America, and how would that look in America, in your opinion? If somebody came here and started telling Muslims,
some Americans would wrongly be angry at them, but I would look at them and say, well, what the hell's that got to do with you?
Okay, fair enough. We disagree, but let me move on to the second, because there's three of these in there. Obviously, we saw the salute. I know you don't believe the salute was harmful. We believe that was harmless too, right?
Yeah, it was more stupid. It does look bad. I'm not going to say it's not bad optics, but it was more like he should have done it. He should have been like, okay, how am I going to move my arm more, and really thought about it more. It was more stupid than it wasn't malicious.
Okay, and now he is demanding that a guy who clearly made all kinds of racist statements be reinstated. How does that look?
Well, first off, I'd have to see these statements themselves because based on the context, like that actual one that they quoted, it sounded like a joke. Maybe it isn't. No. I'm not gonna let you get away.
I'm just laughing. Go ahead. I'm just laughing. What?
Do you remember that one? Do you remember way back when there was that one journalist? I don't remember her name, but she said she told a racist joke. She said I'm going into Africa. Hopefully I don't get AIDS. Just JK. I'm white. I'll be fine.
Who laughs at that? Okay, he said
people who have a sense of humor.
Okay, but do you want somebody who jokes like that to be in a position of power in government that might be over the people he's making that kind of a joke about?
I don't care. If it's a very obvious joke, then yeah.
It's not though. Yeah. That's the point. It's not very obvious. And certainly with Elon, you just stated he made a joke about a double H salute. Now he goes and tells the German people they shouldn't feel, guilty about what happened during the Holocaust. And then all of this in 3 weeks. You don't see any type of pattern developing?
I'm looking at each incident separately and then adding them up.
This is all within 3 weeks though. I
don't care because every single one of them doesn't seem like a real old issue. Let me tell you something. You want to know why it's what I tweeted at one point, and I still don't feel guilty to this day?
Bro, if you don't feel guilty about the Holocaust, I'm afraid to ask. What do you got?
I said racist jokes are all the same. Once you've heard Juan, you've heard Jamal. That's funny. It made you laugh.
And I'm gonna go to hell for that. Okay, I want you to hear that. I'm gonna play some of this again so we can get clarity on what part you thought was comedy.
Backlash over his previous post on social media that were racist. Marco Elise, the former Doge staffer, urged his followers on social media to quote unquote normalize hate against Indians.
Let's start with that one. Do you think that is funny?
Well, he didn't actually say the actual quotes, though.
To an NPR report, Elise frequently boasted about his anti-Indian and anti-immigration stance, and he once tweeted, quote, "I was racist before it was cool."
Is that funny?
Yeah, see, that sounds like a joke. I'm not gonna lie, it does. You see, I was racist before it was cool. Oh, you know what that tells me?
Jesus
You know what?
Christ! Oh my God!
I'd like to see the context. You want to know why?
I'm actually able to read the context. I mean, it's right here in front of me. He says, "You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity." The whole account wrote in September, "Normalize Indian hate," a separate post from the month read. It says, in July of last year, they don't highlight it on top. Let me see if I can get under there and see what, I mean, because I can see what he's talking about. But he also said, "You cannot pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity" as well. That's the quote. Is that, now this newscaster didn't cover it, but I can clearly see it in the writing. Do you find that as funny?
That does seem a little more suspicious.
Like, God damn, how many of these pitches I got to hit before you realize I actually can play baseball? Like, this dude is actually hitting the ball in front of you and you keep saying he's going to strike out. He's actually hitting this stuff.
Well, when he actually said I was racist before it was cool, if you take away the rest of that context, it doesn't sound nearly as bad.
And, here's what I don't, what leaves me baffled. Folks on the right can hear stuff like this and see context, and all Biden had to do was say, "Vote for me or you ain't black," and he turned into Satan. I don't understand it. I got multiple stuff on this guy. All Biden did was say, "Vote for me or you ain't black," and people could clearly see the racism for miles. This dude actually said, literally, "I was a racist before it was cool," and we're giving him all kinds of outs. That doesn't make sense to me.
Before you read the whole, no. I'm going to give you some credit here before
Please.
you read the whole thing, because I can't see it very easily with your screen.
Okay, that's fair.
Before you read the whole thing, if he said I was racist before it was cool, you want to know where I think that context could have made perfect sense?
Yeah, give me what you got.
And there are plenty of times where like pro-black movements say things that are abhorrently, obviously racist, but we just let it go. So responding into it like that would absolutely make sense. Like, it would be kind of like a way of saying, you do realize that what you just said is completely racist. Here's
my pushback. Two things. First of all, people who make racist jokes don't belong in government. Because if something happens that looks, let's say they let a police officer off or something, then you can't say they didn't make it clear to you how they felt. It's one thing to be a comedian on stage. When you start getting positions of power, you shouldn't have any of this in your history. The second thing is, if he doesn't apologize for this in any way, fashion, or form, how do you know it was meant to be a joke?
That's true. I can see some of that. Well, hold on. Do you have to apologize for jokes, though?
I don't think you should be telling jokes like this when you're over the people that you're making jokes like this about. Would you say that this guy should be able to be a school teacher in an urban community because he can tell jokes like, would you want somebody making jokes like this about your kids over them? Yeah, you should apologize. You shouldn't be in a position of power if you're making humor like this. You just shouldn't be in that position. You should be a comedian. That's what you want to do. You want to make jokes. Go on the comedy circuit.
Well, okay, so how young is this guy anyway?
He's well under 30 because he's with Elon Musk's crew. He's under 30, but I don't know if his age matters. I mean, like I said, if you don't apologize.
Again. Now, with the context you gave, it does sound a lot worse than it sounded before. So if there's no counter context, because I'm sure in a few weeks people are all going to be on this story like flies on shit, and they're going to tell us the full context, So if there's nothing else about it, like he doesn't apologize, and there's no other context other than what you told me, then yeah, you probably shouldn't be working there.
And how should we view Elon Musk for trying to have him reinstated?
That would be suspicious.
All right. It took a while to get you there. I got to move on, Jeremy, but I think we finally found something we're kind of agreeing on. Took a while to get there, though.
Before I go, please look up the damn journalist. Come on.
I keep forgetting. Look, I got so much going on usually, man. Who is this? One more time. I wrote the name down last time. What was the name?
Her name is Lauren Southern. And the reason why I want you to look her up is because a lot of the stuff we talk about on your show, she's already covered in a lot of her documentaries or in a lot of her videos. And I think that if you were to actually gain some perspective from her, you'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
All right. I'm be trying to remind myself to do it. Send me a DM just for shits and giggles to add on to it. I got to go, though.
Bye, Timothy.
Appreciate it. All right, moving on. Like I said, vote for me, you ain't black. Vote for me, you ain't black. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't taken out of context. It was straight up racist. But here we have a man that literally used the phrase, I was a racist before it was cool. And we can find outs for him. I'm going to continue the program, tap the screen, move the show on. Will G says MAGA ain't shit for his logic. Ask Jeremy, what did African people and their children do to be perpetual slaves of Europeans? Well, they were born black, and that made them easy cargo. During the time when we had a law and we had a country that was sympathetic to using human beings as a product to make money off of. That's all. The only thing they did wrong was they were born black during that time. That's all it took. Looking in the comments, real quick, Joe thought he was invited to the barbecue. I guarantee you, if you compare Joe Biden, if you show up to an African-American barbecue with Joe Biden, Trump, and Elon Musk in the car, and they said, one of these folks got to get out and you got to feed them some barbecue, I think Joe Biden is going to be the one that's eating. I'm just giving you my opinion. Certainly with Elon Musk, you're not going to have a black community seeing all of these things that's coming out on Elon Musk as a joke and out of context. There's too much of it. And without any apologies, remember, as bad as vote for me, you ain't black, and some of the things they brought up on Biden sounded like Senator Byrd, he apologized for all of that stuff. The Elon Musk and Donald Trump team are not apologizing for shit. They're doubling down on some of that stuff. So my guess is Biden is going to be the one that's invited to the cookout, even though he does have stuff in his past. But a lot of the stuff brought up on Biden is 10, 20, 30 years old or more. The crime bill, for instance, all that stuff is the stuff that's being brought up on Trump and Elon is ongoing. Everything we're talking about now happened in the last 3 weeks. Looking in the comments, and I do agree with the evolution, says Derry Rojas. I do agree with that. Tap the screen. Lauren Southern. Yeah, I'll look it up. Stop spreading misinformation, says Powder. You got plenty more room to type there, Powder. Explain what you're talking about. We can go ahead and talk. We can go ahead and hash it out. Your cookout sounds like it ain't going to have no seasoning if Biden is who you're feeding. Oh, my God. Going back to the box. Real quick. Interesting stuff coming on. Real interesting things coming out on Elon. I don't know. Elon is not looking good to me in regards to saying that none of that stuff adds up to anything. But, Andy, what say you?
Oh, Elon is, look, part of the reason he got rid of USAID is because they got rid of apartheid.
USAID has something to do with that?
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I just heard that Elon Musk.
All day and all. And as a matter of fact, headlines read the day after he did it, world's right-wing dictators cheer as Elon dismantles USAID. And they were investigating him. So Elon's just going through his enemies. The consumer protection thing, they were looking at loans that were going to him and other things. He's just knocking off his personal hit list. He don't really give a shit about us.
Wow. I had a caller on earlier that brought up that Elon has not said much negative about China because he has so much business there, and suggested that this whole information grab bag might be, and this is conspiratorial. I don't know if this has any validity to it or not, but he's suggesting that Elon may end up passing our information over to China himself personally. Can you see any possible chance of that happening?
Did you see who was at Trump's inauguration? Just curious.
All of the tech giants.
The vice president of China.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Well, Trump invited the president, and he acts like he hates him, but yet he penalized our neighbors more than he penalized China. Let's be real.
So what do you? So what do you think that? What do you think he's trying to do? Play both sides of China?
Yeah.
For what purpose?
He's gonna get big for that too, because they're not near as dumb as he thinks they are. As a matter of fact, they're starting to improve their energy efficiency, and we're going to be the worst polluter when it's done, because China actually took that shit a little more seriously than your viewers like to complain. And for the record, every single member of Congress voted to pass the crime bill except for the two that weren't there, and the only part Joe Biden had in the crime bill was writing the Violence Against Women's Act.
Yeah. Well, to me,
So can we quit hanging that around his neck?
well, he's part of it, so it's going to get hung around his neck. But yeah, I've mentioned that before many
They
times.
think he wrote the damn bill. He did not.
He's not a
He
co.
wrote the Violence Against Women's Act, and that's it.
Okay. Well, he's
That's a small part of it.
he's part of it, and that's going to make people just like Kamala Harris with the whole
Every
three
single
strike.
member of Congress voted. That is a bipartisan thing. It's not one or the other.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's 30 years old to begin with. So but I will say this: why this is where I always give the Trump side credit. The messaging from Biden was so poor that it's easy to blame him for any and everything because he doesn't do a good job defending
Like
himself.
they would see messaging from the left when they only watch Fox, Newsmax.
I'm not talking about the right, Andy.
What is it?
Andy.
What is it? Steve Bannon has. Like they don't see our news.
Talking about the war room. I'm not talking strictly about Republicans and MAGA. I'm talking about even a lot of Democrats don't know everything. You know, you ask them, what did Biden do good for this country? A lot of Democrats can't even answer that. A lot of Democrats are talking about the Biden crime bill because his messaging was poor.
What Democrats can't tell you? Most Democrats know he did the infrastructure and act. He did the Chips and Science Act. He passed the PACT Act. I can keep going.
I've had many Democrats that could not tell me that. A lot of Democrats were like, this guy hasn't done much to border, so, you know, they believe the border was wide open.
Democrats, just like I blame Republicans for not doing their due diligence, because that's quite easy to find.
Well, what I'm saying is that Trump, even folks who do not do their due diligence are hearing from Trump. So he's telling them things that they favor where they don't have to go looking it up. That helps them out.
Look at them screaming at me to stop talking. It's hilarious. Y'all don't want me to talk because I'm telling you things you don't like. Like first of all, if USAid is considered soft power, it is where we make alliances and do little things that work really well for us and give us a good face while we're out here destabilizing other countries and causing all these people who need asylum to be needing asylum. We are the number one cause of that. And the fact that and primarily Republicans, because it's Republicans who were in charge when we had all those wars, or started those wars, I find that to be ludicrous.
Well, and speaking of ludicrous, I got a quick note in the comments says, when is hate on anyone funny? Now, because we're talking about things that are being ludicrous. My last caller was talking about some of the things that Elon Musk and some of his, I guess associates here said, about being racist and things like that. It might have been taken as a joke. Now, one of my viewers has said, when is hate on anyone funny? Do you see any possibility at all where some of this stuff could be construed as a joke?
No, is he serious? He means it. It's just that Republicans want to blame Democrats for everything, and anything their side does, they have no accountability for themselves. Zero, zilch, none.
Yeah, I have a hard time, viewing something like that as a joke from somebody that's actually in a position of power. And I see, guess what in the comments
I
says?
can bitch about Biden's foreign policy all day long because there are lots of things he could have done that he did not. And I don't hold him up to some special standard. He is accountable just like Trump is accountable. But the fact that they think it's a football game and cheer for one side or the other is just insane to me.
Well, that is politics. And guess what I see in the comments says, Gen X is probably asleep soon. Andy, make me a sandwich. Gen X hasn't came out of the woodwork for you lately. I'm surprised at that, but probably because you ain't been on as
Well,
much.
the problem is that, like, first of all, we all know that some of these people wouldn't be able to find a spouse or somebody of the opposite sex if you played with them and tied a pork chop around them and called them dogs. I mean, let's be honest.
I'm not gonna touch that. Wow. So you, I think you and I tend to agree. But let me ask you what the main.
I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you think of that new religious thing where Trump's completely violated the First Amendment and now wants all the agencies to have a liaison to a faith thing that he put in there of the crazy lady who walks around talking about how she walks on holy ground? Like, this is what is wrong.
Wait. I'm not aware of this. Explain what you're talking about.
Happened yesterday. There's a new agency of they don't want to have any bias against Christians.
I heard that.
Government agency for that, and there's a government faith office now, and they all the departments have to have a liaison from their office to her office.
I think what's forming is Christian nationalism. I think North Dakota has already tried to put on legislation where they want to be designated as a Christian nationalist country. I think what's happening is it's going to get to the point where it might, you've heard people say it's blasphemous to talk about Jesus or something. It's going to be something like that where you can't put certain types of books out there that speak ill of the church.
They better hope they're paying to the right God, because just because they put it in a religious office doesn't mean that religion's going to match with y'all's. Y'all better be careful. That's a slippery fucking slope.
Well,
what if they decide Catholics aren't even good anymore? Like, what if they kick the Catholics out? Like, and isn't that wasteful?
Not only is it wasteful, I agree with the part about it being dangerous. That's shoving religion down people's throats, because you're going to do this for Christians. What about all the other religions? Well, I don't give a damn about those. I mean, so you're kind of starting to merge church and state, sounds like to me.
And since the churches don't pay taxes because they're not in the government, doesn't this mean they have to start paying taxes? Like,
I don't think you have to worry about that under Trump, though. I think you'll be okay. So.
It's just alarming to me that he wants to throw out the First Amendment, the 14th. Like, there are more lawsuits against his executive orders. And by the way, those align perfectly. If you ask an AI to give you how Donald Trump's new executive orders align with Project 2025, you'll be quite shocked.
I don't, now I know Trump said he has nothing to do with Project 2025. He hasn't read it. My response is this: imagine having a liberal publication out there where the authors were talking about giving blacks reparation, allowing the LGBTQ to use any bathroom they want, allowing kids to discuss atheism in schools and things like that. You got a publication that's far left like that out there, and all of a sudden you elect. Hold on. You got a far left publication like that that's out there. This is fictional. And then you elect a far left politician, and he loads his cabinet up with all of the folks that wrote that. You think the right would be able to be persuaded that they're not trying to actually enact this? So when it comes to Project 2025, in my opinion, you'd have to be really dumb not to think that some of that stuff, if not all of it, is going to be
your comment section's right. Russell Voigt wrote it, and Russell Voigt's the architect of Project 2025, and he is also the guy and head of the Budget and Management Office.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Project 2025 is something that's really even debatable at this point. I mean, there's too many members of that publication that are on this team.
Getting rid of all these offices was in there. Consolidating power to the president's in there. Like, it's just a laundry list of the Heritage Foundation's wishes.
The only way not to see Project 2025 is to close your eyes and turn your head. I mean, it's just simply too many authors of that publication serving on Trump's team. You know this is the America they want, and now he done appointed them to positions. You think that they're not going to try to implement any of what they've made it clear they want to do? I mean, it's pretty obvious that you're going to see a lot of Project 2025. If you don't want to believe it, you can do that, but that doesn't make much sense at this point. But Andy, I got to move it on.
It's nice being with Tim. Like I said, I'm gonna watch for how many orders come down. And by the way, have you noticed a lot of what I told you is all coming true?
Well, you told me but I still hold you accountable for you telling me the women in Alabama was going to show up for the election and they didn't.
Well, I'm very disappointed that they didn't, but I also found out that a bunch of women in Alabama were taking off the voter rolls. Like, it is amazing. Alabama purged the voter rolls right before the election. A lot of people didn't get to vote, and that's coming out now, too.
I have not heard that. Send me some. Oh, I'll look it up. All right. Thank you.
I can send you something. I mean, I don't mind. You know, I'll do my homework. Have a good day.
You too. Send it. Moving on with the program. He lied as usual. MAGA can't see it with their lying eyes. I can't, it is what it is. Once again, Will G says Trump ain't shit. Says, what did I tell you about white refugees? White South Africans coming to the U.S. as refugees because Trump was influenced to think white people were being oppressed. I've talked to a lot of folks that believe white people are being oppressed. I mean, a lot of folks believe that DEI and affirmative action oppresses white people. People believe that whites are being oppressed right now. That's why you're starting to, I think even Trump said that that he didn't use the word oppressed, but he did say something to the notion of, whites are being kind of mistreated and that's not going to happen under my watch. But you say how so, Derry Rojas, how are whites being oppressed? Well, there are some things, like for instance, you can make, as my other colleagues talking about racist jokes, for instance, you can get away with saying that stuff about white people easier than you can about blacks. Such as a movie being titled White Men Can't Jump. You probably couldn't make a movie saying something like that about black people or women or something like that. So there is some of that, but I don't think that really affects somebody who's white to any great degree, but I do believe that you probably can get away with more with making racially, motivated jokes against white people on TV or on the media than you could against an African American. Even if you start hinting, like let's say for instance when Trump, if Trump invited a bunch of African Americans to the White House and he served fried chicken, people would instantly see that as racist. Whereas you wouldn't have that happen if you invited a bunch of white people to the White House. If Obama did that, nobody's gonna be looking at what food he serves. So there is some of that, but to me it's way down in the weeds, but there is some of that. Looking in the comments real quick, why are all these MAGA crying because Trump turned on them and this and that? I haven't seen a whole lot of MAGA crying. I have not. Get over it. You damn well knew he was going to get in by all means necessary, and it's out of his hands now. I don't know. I see most of the MAGA I see are pretty damn happy that Trump won, so I can't agree with that. But it does open up another clip before I start taking callers that I would like for you guys to hear. If I may not, yeah, I do have it queued up. So we'll play this real quick. It's only a minute and a half or something like that, 2 minutes. But I do want you to hear it. It's a bunch of Trump quotes. That's all it is. And some of these probably have not aged well. These are simply Trump quotes. In his words, Donald Trump on the LGBTQ community. This is something worthy of discussing. Now, you see in the video, he's holding up a rainbow flag, I believe, on it.
Leave it the way it is. There have been very few complaints the way it is. People go, they use the bathroom that they feel is appropriate.
So if Caitlyn Jenner were to walk into Trump Tower and want to use the bathroom, you would be fine with her using any bathroom she chooses?
That is correct.
A radical Islamic terrorist targeted the nightclub, not only because he wanted to kill Americans, but in order to execute gay and lesbian citizens because of their sexual orientation. It's a strike at the heart and soul of who we are as a nation.
Now, this one here, I'm going to read this because you obviously can't probably see it as well on my screen, but this is a Trump tweet. June 14, 2016. Thank you to the LGBT community. I will fight for you while Hillary brings in more people that will threaten your freedoms and beliefs. That's from Trump, 2016. So he was saying that Hillary Clinton was going to threaten the freedoms and beliefs of the LGBTQ. He didn't say Q in this. What is Q? Queer? But LGBT, so that is trans is in that. And he's saying that he was going to fight for their freedoms and beliefs more so than Hillary Clinton. That's a tweet from June 14, 2016.
A friend of mine called up, he said, you don't get enough credit because in Palm Beach, you opened a club that nobody would do, and it's open to everybody. It's open to everybody. And a person, a member of the club, great guy, who's gay, wrote this magnificent letter saying what Donald Trump did, nobody else would do. I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology.
Is there anybody that believes that? July 12th, 2016. I'd be curious, where are the gays for Trump at nowadays?
Believe me.
Do you support marriage equality?
It's irrelevant because it was already settled. It's law. It was settled in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's done.
So even if you appoint a judge that...
It's done. You have, these cases have gone to the Supreme Court. They've been settled. And I think I'm fine with that.
This one says well, hold on a second. This stuff didn't age very well. Let's just put it that way. This is July 26th of last year. After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States will not accept or allow. I'm pretty sure this is not letting gays into the military. Will not allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. And that's something that a lot of Trump supporters like. Fair enough, but it goes completely against some of these quotes that he told folks. A lot of folks voted for Trump, gays as well, thinking that he had their back. Says transgender individuals serving in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming. It's nice music. That was it. So there you go. I thought that was worthy of playing because a lot of folks, Trump ain't never lied about anything. Okay. Will G says not liking something but still living life, having the complexion for the connection, being oppressed are two totally different things. Not liking something but still living a life and having the complexion for the protection. Well, being oppressed is pretty clear. That's completely different because that's something that's happening to you. Yeah, it's like night and day different. So I don't disagree with that, but I'm trying to figure out where you came with that. But yeah, that being oppressed is in its own universe, if you ask me. He hung with black people for the. Here's another one. Says Armida. He hung with black people for his benefit, and now they are nothing to him unless he needs us. Oh, because people say it all the time. But why do people view Trump as a racist and all this? He used to hang out with a bunch of black people. Well, apparently he used to hang out with gay people too. MAGA reacts. Good evening.
First of all, I would definitely invite Trump to a black barbecue and just play all the rap songs that he's in.
You gotta be black, but you're not black.
Listen, I've gone to plenty of black barbecues.
Okay.
I'm African American, technically.
So, what were you from? South Africa?
I'm from Egypt.
Okay, yeah, then you're African American.
North Africa.
Yeah. Well, Elon Musk is African American too, if you technically.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been to plenty of black barbecues, and before he became president, all the music, you know how all the songs was.
Yeah, but have you said
that line being in the Taj Mahal had to do with Trump?
What?
Fat Joe has the line about having sex in the Taj Mahal, and I just realized that's fucking Trump's casino.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, you mentioned you've been to cookouts and things like that. You don't have the quotes probably that these guys have in their past, though. You haven't said stuff like this, or if you did, nobody knows about it.
I don't know. I think Trump would be the most interesting one out of all three because he's the most social one. His whole life was throwing parties. So I think he could socialize with everybody, all races, colors, straight, gay. He could socialize and talk to anybody.
Did you not just see what I played?
He says a lot of things. That doesn't mean he's not going to be welcome to the barbecue. It's different when somebody's in person, and we're talking about having him there in person, the president of the United States. Even before even just 2016 Donald Trump, I would still, that's a big celebrity there in person,
So let me ask you. We're gonna speculate here because we don't fucking know. But how do you think he would be reviewed because you mentioned he's the president, which is true, and he's a well-known celebrity. If he walked into a gay club, how do you think the reaction would be?
I'm sure he has walked into a gay club.
I'm talking about now, though. I'm talking about now. If he walked into a gay club now,
they would be like, oh, take pictures with him. That's what everybody does. I've seen people that have podcasts of hating him somehow run into him and take pictures. They took pictures with him. Like, I literally saw a guy talk shit about him on a podcast, and the next day I saw him taking pictures with Trump, and I'm like, how the hell is he in the same room with Trump? You know,
so you believe that if Trump walked into a gay club, they would be pretty friendly to him?
Fuck yeah, that's a big celebrity. Listen, I've met people that I hate.
So wait a minute. So you said he's a big celebrity. So if Biden, who is also a big celebrity, walked into a MAGA rally, how do you think they would act to him?
They would still probably take pictures of them and treat him nice. You saw that one fireman that traded hats with him and shit.
Yeah, that farmer that traded hats with Biden treated him like shit. He didn't treat him nice. He treated him like shit. Did you actually listen to what he was saying?
It looked friendly to me. I'm sure they would have said some jokes, but
no, I wish I could bring that up. That farmer that Biden was nice enough to talk to and put his MAGA hat on, that guy treated Biden like shit. I mean, he was making jokes about him. That wasn't friendly. Are you kidding me?
The difference is Trump would have joked back with him. Trump would have disarmed him with his fucking celebrity and with his, with his how he is, with his what's it called, charisma, I guess.
So you're saying if Trump met somebody and they was calling him a racist or something like that, he would joke back with him?
Hell yeah. He's a New Yorker too, remember that.
I've never seen this Trump you're talking about.
Listen, it's different about in person versus Twitter wars and shit. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. That's the problem. I don't.
Person versus online, you don't behave the same. All these people talking shit online will behave completely different once they see Trump in person, and then Trump's own personality will kick in, and
What about the guy that was laying on the roof that saw Trump in person in Pennsylvania?
That was different.
How was it different?
He wasn't talking to Trump. He was looking at him through a scope.
He was trying to get a message across, though, was he not?
I guess, but he wasn't talking to Trump.
Sometimes you gotta reach out. Sometimes people are so busy. You kind of gotta reach out and touch them, if you know what I mean.
I guess, but from my experience, the majorities of my experiences, when people are in person, it's completely different than how they act when they're away from each other. They could hate each other and want to kill each other, but when they finally see themselves and meet each other in person, you never know what's gonna happen. They might kill each other, or they might be like, "Oh shit, I forgot that I like this guy."
And you believe that if Biden walked into a MAGA rally, they would act like they forgot that they liked him?
They would treat him okay, because again, it's still the president of the United States. And then you could also see how Biden treated Trump when Trump went to the White House.
So when he walked up, wait. Have you ever heard of this? I'm gonna give you a phrase, 3 words. It's been fairly common over the years. Maybe you've heard of it. Let's go, Brandon. Have you ever heard of that before?
Yes, of course.
Was that treating him nice?
That was a funny joke.
Really? What does "Let's go, Brandon" mean?
It means fuck Joe Biden.
And that's treating him nice.
The way that became the meaning of that was hilarious.
I know how it came about. I know how it came about, but you're telling me that if Biden walked up to a Trump gathering, people would treat him nice, and I'm telling you, the evidence don't show that to be true at all.
There's always going to be, I'm sure there's an exception to the rule, but from my experience, when people meet celebrities, even celebrities they hate, they go into celebrity mode and they're nice to them.
Let me ask you here's another one that's in the news currently right now. Will G brings this up. The NFL removed end racism from the end zone. Ironically, at the same time, Trump is going to the Super Bowl. Now, have you seen the end racism that's in this? Have you ever seen that on some of the games?
No. I did see someone talking about it this morning. Well, other than that, I've never seen that before.
Why do you think they would do that?
Because it's pandering, and they're getting awarded for not being political, of just being the football and just having fun. So I feel like it's a continuation of that, getting politics out of sports.
So you believe in racism, putting a phrase like "end racism" is pandering.
I believe so. It's pandering to the left because they think everybody and everything is racist and systematically racist.
Well, you ever heard of "vote for me or you ain't black"?
Exactly.
That was the right saying that people were racist.
No, that was, I don't know. That was the right saying that Biden is racist.
Yeah, you guys think that Al Sharpton is racist? You think that Jesse Jackson is racist? The right thinks people are racist too.
I don't know enough about Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton to tell you if they're racist or not.
I'm saying
that's what I hear from other people, but I don't know that for a fact.
Well, I'm saying your party thinks that they're racist as well, so it's not like the left are the only ones calling people racist.
My party is a coalition of so many people right now that you can't describe it like you could even 4 or 5 years ago.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Like, you can't just say the party's racist when the party is like half.
I don't think your party's racist. I don't think you know something, because there's too many people. Like you said, there's a coalition of everybody. There's Hispanics, there's blacks. I don't think Trump supporters or all Trump supporters or all MAGA are racist at all. I think the issue is racism is not a deal breaker. Most of them, folks are firmly concerned about the economy. Maybe they don't want to send money abroad. Maybe they don't like the gains of the LGBTQ community. But they're not all racist. But if you are racist and they know it, they won't shame you or shun you. So racism is not a deal breaker. It's my point.
No, I think the type of racism the left points out is not a deal breaker. Like real racism, that would be a deal breaker. Like that guy in North Carolina, he lost big time, even though Trump. What about
the guy right now that Elon Musk is trying to? They've already restored, who actually has quotes out there that are saying that I was racist before it was cool. Is that not racist to you?
Not really. Not the way. I know the other guy said there was some context that make it sound racist, but I never heard the context. What was the context?
If a person comes out and says I am a racist, you start looking for context.
First of all, this is a kid. He's 25. He probably said that when he was 23. If you held me up to whatever I was saying at 23, I would be in jail right now.
He's 20 plus, and you saying he's a kid. You know we put people in prison.
He's a kid.
Hold on, you know we lock up 16-year-olds and charge them as an adult. I mean, he's 27 years old. He's grown. He's not a kid. He's grown. And by the way, if he's a kid, why the hell are they giving him so much power?
Because he's a genius. Like he's not even like you were talking to him like he's a politician. He's a fucking IT guy. He normally doesn't interact with people. He just shows up, he fixes the computer, and leaves. Who cares if he's racist? But I don't even think he is racist. He's just talking shit because he's a fucking little kid. We all talk shit.
So when he says I was racist before it was cool, in your opinion, how should African Americans take that?
First of all, wasn't he racist to Indians or some shit?
He said that too. He wanted to normalize hating Indians. How should they take that?
I don't know what the context is. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. But either way, like,
give me some. Hold on. Give me some. Wait, MAGA.
Who gives a fuck?
Give me some context that makes saying you want to normalize hating Indians. Give me some context that makes that work. Anything you can come up with.
It could be a joke. It could be a million things. I don't know the context to be able to judge it. I can't think of it off the top of my head because I don't know. I don't know what it was about. I don't know why he would say that.
Here's what I don't understand. Just like I mentioned,
he didn't actually say anything hateful about Indians. You're saying I was hateful to Indians before it was cool or whatever the hell the context was. But what did he say that was actually bad? Because he's describing that he hates Indians, but what did he say that was hateful? And you're making me like pick a straws here.
You're leaving me. He says I want to normalize. He says I want to normalize hating a group of people. And well, what else did he say? Why do you need more? Why isn't that enough?
It could be a business thing. It could be anything. It could be a joke because his Indian friend was picking up.
Is everything in your house on the top shelf? Because you reaching your ass off. Is everything on the top shelf?
You do this. You act like you're not pushing me toward this. I want to talk about other things, but you're the one that's like making me answer these questions. You always do this to me. Like I come in wanting to talk about a million things.
What did you want to talk about? Because what you talking about now is crazy. Before you go into what you want to talk about, I want to make sure I read the super chat. Once again, the Honorable Will G. This is Will G talking. Says Trump ain't shit. He says removed Biden's security clearance, and that's something we probably should be talking about. That Trump is claiming that Biden can't be trusted, and he removed his security clearance. But he says in briefings, Biden did it to him, but MAGA has amnesia of January 6th and deliberately hiding and showing classified documents. He removed Biden's security clearance. What do you think of that?
I mean, the guy is barely there, so yeah, I wouldn't give some guy with dementia security clearance.
So would you have removed it from Carter and Reagan in their last days too?
Definitely Reagan. I don't know how Carter was. I mean, Carter was fine after he left the office. It was only recently that he was more, he was too old for it.
Okay, so now you wanted to talk about something, hopefully it makes it sound a lot better than you trying to defend racism. What's on your mind?
The USAid thing. First of all, Elon never had any problems with any of these departments until he started leaning toward the right. Really until the left started giving him a hard time. And when he moved to Texas and, all the shit that they put him through, because they put him through a lot of shit. They had him test the hearing of SEALs to make sure that SEALs are not affected by him launching rockets near the water. These guys are now, giving him a hard time over, I heard there was, only $800,000 worth of equipment that they bought for Starlink. And what it is he gave them the Starlink service for free, but they still have to buy the modems and shit to connect to the satellites.
I haven't heard all that, but why is that why he's targeting USAid? Because they represent they don't represent a large amount of the budget in regards to entities that you might want to investigate to start saving Americans money. The U.S. military and some of those entities are far greater amounts of the American budget. Why go after this little small entity before the big people?
You have to warm up somewhere, and I feel this was a good warm up. It's a small budget. You could see how it was corrupted. And you got to start somewhere, and this was the easiest one to do because you can't start with the military one. Then you have to get all these people security clearance for military stuff. With this, they shouldn't need that much security clearances to go in there and audit it. And,
he's not auditing straight. He's not auditing shit. He went in there and shut the whole thing down, removed their name from the building. He didn't audit. He just said he treated everybody like they were guilty. Everything that they did as if it's waste and stopped it all. You agree with that? You think it was 100% bad?
Well, that's how he does his own personal business. I remember hearing him say when it comes to anything, I usually tell him to get rid of 5 things and bring one back. And that's how he does most of his auditing. So you take something that's inefficient, that you know is inefficient, you get rid of 5 things, and you bring back 1 or 2 that were the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah, but you do realize you are getting rid of a lot of talent. Those are jobs you're fighting. I mean, some of these folks, you say get rid of 5 things and bring 1 back. You can't just do it like that. That's like let's say for instance you wanted to get rid of every high school principal in a big city. They're not all going to be around to bring them back. You're getting rid of people who may have a lot of talent that getting rid of is not good for the school system. You can't just expect all of them folks that you fired to be sitting around waiting to come back, and they likely ain't gonna have them around to want to work for your ass anyway after you did something like that.
So it might come back to bite him in the ass, or he might find better talent. It's really 50-50.
How can you just find? Wait. That makes no.
Business.
You can't just get rid of people that got decades of talent and just go out there and find better talent like that.
Yeah,
These are people
also have decades of corruption, decades of blow. I mean, isn't that what we want Trump to do to shake things up? And I think all these government departments should have an expiration date, and when the expiration date hits, you have to start fresh with the latest technology and do it more efficient. I really don't think these things should keep growing and growing forever. It should have a restart date. You know what I mean?
I'm fine with all of that, but if you want to remodel your house, you don't tear down the whole damn building and begin building it. I mean, you gotta.
That's how bad the house is.
It ain't
The
that. You know,
house
the problem is it's not though. The problem is that, like I just asked you, is 100% of USAid bad? Is 90% of it bad? Is 80% of it bad? I don't think it's that bad.
I'm not the one that could judge that. He barely started the audit. He's only been at this for like
He's
2
not.
days.
Wait. You keep using the word audit. He got rid of the entire agency. He didn't audit them. He tore the whole thing down.
I believe the agency. I don't believe it's gone. I believe he put them on pause until he figured things out.
So
I don't think he got rid of all of it like that.
When do you do an audit? By taking down the name on the building?
I don't know. Maybe he wants to rebrand it. Again, it's only been a few days. I barely got a chance to absorb most of the information coming out from all this.
He wants to rebrand it now, huh?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I really am not that well informed on this particular subject. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I figured that he would get rid of it and open a fresh one and only stick to things that are priority for people.
You're saying that you didn't think it was that big of a deal. As I told you, you're firing people. You're getting, like the CIA, you want to, in the FBI, you're getting rid of all those agents. You know how much talent that you know how long it takes, whether they got to go through the screening of you, they got to go through all the physical and mental evaluations. You got to go through Quantico for all of the training. You can't just find that once you fired somebody like that. So you said, well, maybe they'll find better people. No, you can't. It takes years to make an agent. You can't just find one on the street.
I used to have the saying, some employees are like diapers. They just need to be changed, no matter how clean they are. After a certain amount of time, they're just full of shit, and you need to change them. And you're going to find younger and more hungry talent that will do the job better, that didn't pick up the bad habits of these older people. And maybe you'll get hurt and lose some experience, but we got to... we gotta prepare for the future eventually, because those people are gonna eventually retire too. So you gotta be good at hiring new staff and keeping the flow of people going, because there's always new people coming in.
To me, it sounds like you're describing that your fingernails are growing too long, so you chopped off the finger so it can grow back. That ain't how it works.
I think my diaper analogy works better.
You gotta trim. You don't cut it all off. You don't get rid of all the talent and say, well, let's get some younger folks. You need some of them older folks to train the younger folks. You don't just instantly replace 30, 40 years of talent that developed in the field. You can't just replace that with somebody younger.
The problem is there's been such a crazy technology leap in the last couple of years. I kind of want to lean with Elon on this one, where the new technology coming out is making a lot of these people obsolete anyway, so... maybe you do need to replace them with someone younger.
I think you're crazy.
I say that being one of the people are probably obsolete myself.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. I don't think Russia would have ever gotten rid of the whole KGB at once. We'll see how that goes. I got to move it on.
Them all at once.
Huh?
And they did get rid of them all at once. And they started a new one with a new name and new everything. And they brought back the good people. And yeah, the USSR was gone and KGB was gone with it. So they got rid of the entire government.
And they are, and look at how much weaker that country is now.
I guess, but they were fucked either way, I think.
Well, we might be the same. I gotta go. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. Real quick, I want to make sure racism is political. That the thing MAGA doesn't get. Ain't MAGA. Should we say racism is political. There is a lot of politics to it, but you're saying that MAGA doesn't get that. I don't buy that, because they got it when vote for me, you ain't black. Jessica, yeah! Appreciate the had mustache. Thank you. Appreciate the support for the folks who do that on TikTok. Thank you. I think MAGA gets racism. I just think that they can see racism that is aimed at them a hell of a lot more clear than they can see racism coming from somebody on their side. Because this kid, as folks are calling him, that is about as clear as day that somebody is racist. He's making a joke and all of that. Look, as far as I'm concerned, if you say something, the first thing that doesn't come to my mind is you're saying a joke. If you say you're going to take my life, I don't, but he's probably joking about it. They want to take you at face value. I don't know if he was standing in front of an audience at an improv or Zanies or at a comedy show when he said it, but it ain't something you normally joke about. I don't know. The whole idea that it was a joke is insane. Now, I see in the comments, Miss Mobetta says, who raised that guy? You talking about MAGA Reacts? MAGA Reacts, like I said, everything's on the top shelf. It's never about waste or abuse. It's about relocation of the tax money that would have gone to the agency, to their pockets of the wealthy, and eliminating competition so that Elon is the sole provider. I believe that. And I've said that in the beginning of the show. If Elon is bragging about how much money he saved America in waste, and Americans are not being told where the money that he saved us went, Jessica, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, appreciate the support. If we're not hearing, okay, because Elon is claiming Elon is claiming that he's saving America billions of dollars right now. Americans should know, well, where's the money going? How do we know you're not pocketing it? I'm just simply saying, don't take these people at face value. First of all, I don't believe everything that they're saying is true in regards to the money they're saving everybody. Let me show evidence. And then once you've proved you've saved that from the budget, you need to explain, okay, where did the money go? Because you may have just saved it from one thing to pocket it yourself. There's no denying that Elon is getting wealthier throughout his involvement with the Trump campaign. He's making money off of this shit. So is he really doing us a favor if he's saving us money from the budget and then keeping it? As Americans, if they're going to save us a fortune, our lives should be noticeably improving. You should have tangible results. If they're saving all of this money so that it's, because that's our tax money that go to these programs. If our tax money is not going to those programs and you're not seeing tangible results in your life, then what good is what he's doing? Okay, I don't want LGBTQ to go in bathrooms, or I don't want them playing against the girls in sports. That makes me happy to hear that. But is it actually changing your life at all? If we're spending money to go after your enemies and that makes you feel good, so be it. But if he's saving us a ton of money and you're not seeing it, don't just believe it's happening. It may not be happening. Looking in the comments, yeah, your taxes went to Hamas, says Yellow Bear. They sure didn't do much with it, huh? I love it when people that can't form a sentence talk about educate me, says Terry. Come on, don't say dumb shit. What is the vehicle that he would pocket it through? Well, Trump, wait. Let me go back to the box. But before I do, in regards to asking what is the vehicle that they could pocket money through, didn't Trump just create a cryptocurrency? Now, crypto is completely untraceable. So anything that goes into his cryptocurrency, you won't know what it is, how much it was, or who it went to. There's your vehicle. There's your vehicle right there. Not to mention all of the other shit that Trump is selling. Bibles and shoes and all of that shit. There's a ton of ways to funnel money to President Trump. Or Elon Musk, I would tell you. There's tons of ways. Why would you even ask that? For somebody that has that many businesses, there's tons of ways to funnel money to them. Going back to the box, we'll go to Instagram. I do have a viewer on Instagram. America will be trillions in debt as Trump's, Elon's, and the tech bros' wealth grows on top of government being completely broken. There's a whole lot of people that believe that. Like I said, if we don't see evidence of where that money is going, don't just assume it's going for good causes. You wouldn't do it if it was a liberal saying this shit. So ask questions on the other side. Don't just assume that because something is being told to you that it's accurate. I tried Instagram. They have somebody promoting it, says Muslim better. Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. The cryptocurrency that Trump has, that is definitely an avenue to funnel money to him, easily. Going back to the box, we'll go to Mike, one of my subscribers. Good evening, Mike. Welcome to the program. I'm in the trenches today. We're talking about racist jokes. Good evening, Mike.
Hey, because you got these Trump fluffers up. You know what a fluffer is, right?
No.
Yeah, we'll Google it. I can't say it on your show. But
How do you spell it?
fluffer, Fluffer. These Trump fluffers you got up here, I have never in my life seen so many men so convicted in another man's nuts in my life. I have never, ever seen anything. It's the first one, too. Okay? It's crazy.
A person who keeps male actor. Oh my God.
Yes. Every last one of them. Every last one of them. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
I just want to read this hold on, before folks who don't know, a fluffer, a person who keeps male actors aroused before filming in pornography. So you keeping them stiff.
That's what they do. That's all they do. All they do is make him feel good. They excuse everything he got to say. They excuse the worst of things away. Him and Elon. It's crazy as hell. Now listen.
And I see in the comments somebody said sounds like Kamala. It says she's a fluffer.
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. In all seriousness, so the USAid is putting Americans abroad in harm's way. Because when you cut off aid to these countries, who do they react to? They react to the Americans in proximity, right?
Yep.
So those Americans that are over there doing with all this human aid and humanity activities, now their lives are in danger because of actions that we're doing here.
Yeah, we have some folks that helped us out in the Afghanistan war that have been cut off. I mean, those are people that would definitely be considered, treasonous. They would be killed for what happened. I mean, we got some folks that were trying to migrate over here basically to escape the Taliban, and their path to coming here has been cut off. I mean, so this might get some people killed.
No, not Mike, Tim. Call it what it is. Not Mike. Listen. They're tearing it down. They're doing everything they said they're going to do. They're tearing it down. Elon is the executive order today to stop money from going to South Africa because somehow.
Did you go mute?
Press over there. No, I'm still here.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, money will stop going to South Africa because what?
Because there's certain factions of the South African community, white community, that are feeling like they're being oppressed because of a new deal they made about the land that was stolen from the black Africans over there. Now they're trying to, be amicable about giving some of it back. And all of a sudden, the white folks are being treated poorly over there. So you want to stop and cut aid off to South Africa, right?
Yeah, I will say, and I know what you're talking about, though. The white, during apartheid, they stole, land from blacks over there. Recently, blacks came into power and stole all their land back. And what is shocking is that it does seem like
They didn't steal it all back.
They took it back. What is shocking, though, is that it does seem like Trump and Elon are taking sides on a lot of racial issues. Like, that ain't got nothing to do with making America great. Why are you taking sides on all of this stuff?
And again, it's not it seems. And I don't want to correct your word. We have to be very definitive about this. It's not it seems, they are. It's not it seems, they are. They're putting these executive orders. They're pulling all these resources as if we haven't been giving humanitarian aid across this globe for decades. It is actually the foundation of who we say we're supposed to be. And now we want to strip it apart because of these investigations that Elon doesn't like. It's just crazy how all of these things are changing and they're acting like there's no racism involved, right? It's blatant. It's in your face. It is what it is. And when they excuse it, just because the guy's 25 years old and all of a sudden he's a kid, right? All of a sudden he's a kid.
He's a kid with control of all of our data.
Yeah, with all of our data, and we're okay with that because fluffers don't care, right? Fluffers don't
I learned
care.
a new word today.
They have all of them. I don't give a damn which one it is. I don't care. If you see no faults in this man, if you see no faults in this administration, that's exactly who you are because they're tearing it down from within like crazy. You know, and they're making, and all it is making young or his supporters or white men feel as if it's justified. Because I never heard them talk about USAid during the campaign. Never heard.
I still got a whole lot of black MAGA out there I talk to every day, though, Mike. There's still a lot of blacks that voted for Trump.
Them Tunisians too. I'm not. Listen, I am not. Listen, I'm equal opportunity. Them too.
Tunisians.
Yep. Anybody that voted for him and believe this, I don't give a damn what color you are. You've been deceived. You've been lied to, and then you're sitting back making excuses for it when you said time and time again, Tim, they would never excuse anything if this was the left. None of it.
Yeah, I gotta say that, you know, like the whole thing about it's a joke and all that. Remember when Kathy Griffith held up a severed head of Trump? And nobody would have accepted that's a joke. To me, racism, and she's a comedian. She actually is a comedian. But yeah, to me, if you're in a position of power, you don't joke about racism. It's just simple as that. That ain't something. There has to be a line somewhere. We don't want people in Washington to be Archie Bunker. I mean, I know a lot of folks on the right think that, you know, it's cool to be Archie Bunker, bring all that shit back, but I'm not gonna want somebody that has power over me to be saying that stuff. It's just, I don't know if they're being real about it or not, so I don't want to take the chance. I don't want to vote for anybody that's doing that.
But this is what, yeah, you're right. But this is what happens when you lower the bar with integrity, morals, ethics, and character. This is what happens. This is what happens. You don't have high quality people that hang out. I mean, listen, birds of a feather. When integrity is low, when morals are low, when character's low, this is what you get. They all come together and make excuses for each other and start making these very racist. But you said it earlier. We've been talking about white Christian nationalism for how long now?
At least since the Trump second term. That's when it really became prominent.
At least, and now it's not a conversation anymore, right? It's not whether Project 25.
No, they're doing it. Yeah, they're doing it. It's in full swing.
So if anyone still tries to make excuses for it, they are the Trump fluffers that I'm talking about. It is what it is. We can't make excuses for it. Everyone's always known or felt that there was wasteful spending in the government. That's not new. That's not a new thought.
But when you mentioned the racial, is this something that, you know, strictly in regards to minorities or people of color? Because like Will G in the comments says, South Africa is just a start. Ukraine and the rest of Eastern Europe, which is mostly white, he said that Eastern Europe is next.
Well, I don't know if Eastern Europe is next, but I don't think that it's going to stop.
What about the funding? What about the whole Ukraine war support we're providing?
Yeah, well, that he stopped? Is that what you're talking about?
I've heard that he wasn't a fan of it. Has he stopped it completely already?
No, yeah, they put a freeze on. So here's the thing. So you remember when they put a freeze on all that federal spending, right?
Yes.
And then the judge placed it, and then he put a freeze on that executive order. Well, they're still not sending money. Did you know that?
Okay, so in other words, the freeze is in place, but the action of it is what is still happening. They're not sending money.
Right, because there's been organizations going to the judge saying, hey, we're not receiving funds. As you ordered them to unfreeze the funds, they still haven't sent the funds.
Wow.
Right? I mean, these are things that are happening and are changing lives. I sent you an article today from AP about the agriculture. I sent it to you today.
Yeah, I haven't been on before this show at all, so I haven't seen it.
I sent it to you via text, but it's talking about what we've been talking about.
Wow.
Our immigrants and migrants, they're not showing up like we've been talking about. This is prime citrus season, and they're not showing up. So we're going to find that you're going to see an increase in all of your citrus produce within the next couple of weeks.
Well, but Trump stated that we might hurt for a little bit and Americans would understand. So he made it sound like, yeah, if prices go up, Americans are going to be kind of okay with that. Just if it takes this to get the border secure, Americans are willing to pay a little bit more.
And again, I don't believe the words of a liar, and all these fluffers that want to support it, you can go right ahead. But if he's admitting that it's going to hurt for a little bit, you can take that to the bank that it's going to hurt a lot for a lot longer.
Wow.
because they don't, Tim, they don't care. It's all I told you before. Everybody likes to give Elon all this credit of being a smart businessman. And here's what I will say: if that's true, a smart businessman would never invest $500 million without a hell of a return. And he's going to get his money back, whether they like it or not. And that's why he's doing what he's doing now. He's going to make sure that he cuts all of these programs to make sure that, because here's the thing, if they're getting rid of the oversight, they're not thinking. If you get rid of the oversight, you're never going to know what's going on. And they feel like they don't need to, because you're going to believe whatever they tell you anyway. That's why people are going to come on this show and go, look how much money they saved us, and they'll never know that they're fleecing them and taking it. But LBJ said that how many years ago, Tim? How many years ago?
LBJ, shit. I mean, you're talking about what
did he say, Tim?
huh? You talking about the vote for, gonna have Negroes voting for him for 200 years or whatever?
When he said, if you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the richest, right?
Yeah.
And
that's all it takes. You can just screw him over. That's all it takes.
Look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing right now, and say that quote isn't prophetic right now. He's convinced white America and his supporters that they are somehow being oppressed and things taken away from them, right? That's where the transgender and the Haitians and all these.
What the hell are the transgender taken away from white America?
Well, they're afraid of going in the bathroom. And the funny thing is, if you look at the stats, the person you should fear is the white T-man right next door to you before fearing a transgender. If you look at the numbers.
Yeah.
If you look at the numbers, but they want to believe that that's a threat to them, and it's not a threat to anybody. It's less.
Yeah, I don't. Listen. At the end of the day, I don't believe a biological male should be able to play girl sports, and I'm okay with keeping the bathrooms the way they are. But I say this all the time: is that first of all, it's incredibly rare that if you are an American, it's incredibly rare that as a man you're gonna go in the bathroom and there's a girl in there, or vice versa. First of all, that's rare. Second of all, when you now talk about the chance of going into a bathroom and then being sexually assaulted by someone, it's got to be worse than a lightning strike. There are more Americans that are struck by lightning than there are that goes into a bathroom and gets sexually assaulted by an LGBTQ member. I mean, it is that rare. And for them to be passing laws is insane.
It's crazy, but again, they're doing the work of white Christian nationalism, and this is what they said they were going to do. It's been in the works forever. It's what Lindsey Graham said that they were going to do. Richard Nixon tried it, but he screwed it up. This is it's not new. The sad part is his supporters think somehow this is good for them. If you're not a billionaire, this is not good for you. None of it is. And nobody wants to hear 6 months from now, because here's the thing. You're going to be still doing your show because TikTok's not going anywhere. And these same people that have been supporting it, either they're going to disappear or they're going to come up here and continue to make excuses for it, but they will never admit that they were wrong. It will not happen, Tim, because they are fluffers by nature. Maybe that's why they're so afraid
Fluffers.
of the community.
I'm telling you, that's a word I had never heard of before. How do you get one of those? I mean, let me ask you this way. What has Trump did, in your opinion, to cause him to have so many eager and willing participants that are fluffers?
Because they believe, they believe that they too can ultimately become him because he's a mediocre man. Listen.
What?
Trump is mediocre at best.
Where are you getting that from? He's a billionaire. Mediocre?
That's my point. He's a mediocre billionaire. Just like George Bush Jr. was a Listen.
That doesn't make any sense, Mike. He was born into money. A lot of it.
And listen, that's my point. He was born into it. He didn't earn it. What skills has he possessed? What skills has he shown you? He's lied. Hold on. He's lied. He's stolen. He's cheated. He's a felon. Listen, Tim. Let me ask you this. You name me someone else with that resume that's not white that has achieved that much. He's mediocre.
Well, first of all, wait. Hold on. First of all, the lying and cheating and the felon stuff, that's recent. He was already considerably wealthy before that stuff happened. I'll just say this.
Tim, he was all those things before. He just didn't get convicted.
Okay.
Just listen, huh?
I think you hammering him. I don't know.
Tim, he just got convicted civilly of something he did years ago.
Yeah.
You're acting like he did that.
He was even years ago. The guy's been incredibly wealthy since I was in high school. I mean, he's always been wealthy.
Tim, he's mediocre. He has failed.
He's not mediocre.
His entire life, man. Tim, name me someone else. He's failed up. He was born to wealth. So what did he ever work for, Tim? He's failed up. All these things. Listen, when you look at his resume, Tim, look at his resume. All the way back to when they were renting apartments and they weren't renting. Dude, listen.
To me, you sound like somebody who just hate Trump. Now, he's not mediocre. He's not. I can't buy that. He's not mediocre.
He is 100% mediocre, man. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything other than just exist as a white man with money. That's it.
All of the deals that he's accomplished throughout his life. That you don't get people to do stuff by being mediocre. He knows how to talk to people, even if he's lying, even if he's conning, as you say. But he knows how to talk to people to get what he wants done. Anybody who can do that is gonna be rich.
This is why they love him, because they know he's mediocre, and they figure they have a chance to do things he's done because he hasn't done anything.
To me,
he hasn't done anything, Tim.
He's not mediocre. I can't buy that. That guy's not mediocre. That guy, you don't get to Trump's level by being mediocre. He has the gift of gab, you want to call it that. Like most very successful salespeople have the gift of gab. He is an excellent salesman. He knows how to sell. That's not mediocre.
He is a white man with white privilege, and as long as you have white privilege, you always have a leg up, and you don't have to be exceptional to get there.
Okay, I don't deny he got some. I'm not going to deny he has privilege, but the guy is not mediocre. He's taking.
Hold on, Tim. When you were being brought up by your parents used to tell you, you have to be twice as good.
Yeah, I've been told that.
I've never met your parents in my life, but I know your parents of a black child told you got to be twice as good just to have an opportunity. They have never heard that in their life.
No, but he's still doing far better than the average white man. Even ones that have come from wealth. He's not mediocre. You're putting him down too far.
That's called white racism. He got it from his daddy. It was handed to his daddy, and he's lied, pillaged, and stole his entire life. There's 4,000 lawsuits out there where he didn't pay people. He's had failed businesses, and he still gets to fail up. That's mediocre, Tim. George Bush Jr. was mediocre, Tim. He was a mediocre student in college. So was Trump. That's called white privilege. It is what it is, Tim.
I'm not arguing with you that his skin color, certainly for a man that old, helped him out, but I don't buy that as mediocre. I think any wealthy person, anybody with Trump's wealth, has a bunch of people out there that have sued them. Look how many folks at Amazon don't like Jeff Bezos. That don't mean he's mediocre.
Let me say this. I'm gonna say this, and then I'll drop. If he was black, would he be where he is with that resume that I just laid out?
No, because he grew up in a time when blacks couldn't do all that, but he was still being insanely wealthy.
Do you think he would be? You think he would still be wealthy if he was black with that same track record I just told you? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm trying to answer you. It depends if he could. One of the things that's helping Trump out is that he got a following that is so forgiving that it's akin to being biblical. If a black man had that same following, yeah, he would be the same way Trump is.
But the point is, he would never get it because he's black. That's my point, Tim. Matter of fact, if that was the case, name me one. Name me one that has a track record as close to his that's successful. One.
I can't. There is not one in the era we've come up in, but that's not to say it may not be in the future. America's been a racist country for a long time, but as we evolve out of it, there's room for Trump to come up, a black Trump to happen.
Does it look like we're about to evolve out of it, Tim? Based on everything you're seeing right now?
I gotta go. No, it does not. No, it does not. No, it does not. It seems like we're rescinding, going backwards.
Okay.
I gotta move it on. Go ahead. Last word.
Nope, therefore you won't see it. So he's about as mediocre as they come, and all these Trump fluffers know it.
I don't think he's mediocre though. I gotta go, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right,
But I do agree with him. There's no denying that Trump benefited greatly from being white in addition to his dad. And I know a lot of folks don't like to, talk about white privilege or whatever the case may be, but Trump is not a young kid. I mean, Trump was making money long before the Civil Rights Act became law. So clearly he was able to do things during that era when a black person would not have been able to do so. So him being white certainly helped him out. He grew, one of his attributes, because my last caller was talking about his resume. One of his attributes is he went to the Wharton School of Finance, prestigious financial institution of higher learning. I can guarantee you his whole graduating class was white. Nobody black could go there. So he could put something on his resume like that would help him out with banks and loans and things like that no black man was going to be able to do. So that's one episode of white privilege right there. But then we could also talk about, if you're talking about building skyscrapers in New York and doing all of that shit, and even some of his overseas dealings, this is stuff they would not have even entertained a black man walking in the room talking about. So yeah, he definitely is a beneficiary of being white. There's no denying that. You growing up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, yeah, he definitely benefited from white privilege. That's if you don't want to admit that, then yeah, it is what it is. But looking in the comments, love watching Democrats cry and throw tantrums, says Ed G. They lost the election. And not only did the Dems lose, the Republicans, with Trump at the helm, is rubbing their faces into it. So yeah, it's going to be some tears shed. But I would tell you, if Kamala Harris had won, the Republicans would be crying right now. They would probably be saying she stole it. So yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you lose. This time 4 years ago, Biden was on his third week. The Republicans literally had soaked pillows at home. They were crying so much. So it happens. It happens. It's not like the Republicans took their loss in stride 4 years ago. So, it happens. That's what happens. Ed G says, you weren't saying that 4 years ago with Trump not being, yeah, exactly what I just talked about, Will. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Will, you said it first. I guess we were thinking alike on that. But yeah, when Trump lost, the crying was heavy on the Republican side. Remember the whole QAnon thing about Trump was going to be reinstated in February. He's going to be the 17th president. They were going to arrest Nancy Pelosi and the military was in control. Yeah, they were crying their asses off. So the Democrats are doing it now. It happens. It happens. It ain't the end of the world, hopefully. It's just another election cycle. Now, some would argue that Trump is trying to prevent things from continuing the cycle. We'll see. We'll see. They cried so much they committed January 6th, says King Finn. Damn. Mike, I disagree with you in saying that Trump has always been mediocre. I don't buy that. I don't buy that because there's a lot. He's not the only white person that was born into wealth, and he turned it into a lot more wealth. Trump deserves some credit for what he has become. All of that wasn't thrown in his lap. He did a lot of work to claim. I mean, for instance, he didn't inherit the presidency. He had to talk his way into that. He's president because of his work. His dad, none of them didn't make him president. His own work made him president. He's not mediocre. You don't get to be president by being mediocre, in my opinion. Bigotry against straight white folks is over, says Gen X. You can't, how? You can't, if you're saying bigotry against straight white folks is over. No, it's not, because you can't get rid of bigotry, no matter what you do. Just like the Civil Rights Act did not end racism against black people or people of color. What they're doing right now with the banning of the LGBTQ community, and it ain't just trans. Trump is going after the gays as well, drag queens and all of that. That's not going to stop what's in people's hearts and minds. So it's not over with, as some might say. Will G says, with Trump not being shit, everyone is going to get screwed. If you are not white and wealthy, Latinos for Trump is first on the chopping block. Yeah, where are those Latinos for Trump? Where are they at? Shout out to the Muslims for Trump. Where are the MAGA Muslims at? Come on up to the front of the congregation so we can let the church see what you're representing nowadays. Where are you guys at? Where's all the gays for Trump at? Can we hear from any of those folks? You're not seeing any of those folks. Where they at nowadays? Shout out to you. Assuming that you're still allowed to be gay by the time it's over with. You don't get outlawed in the process. Well, G says you need to give credit to the left. It was the left that said everything he was going to say so far. MAGA are the ones that were iffy and said he was joking. That is true. That is true. I'm one who believes strongly that there will be an attempt at a national abortion ban. I was told by many of my beloved MAGA that I'm fear-mongering. And I'm going to ask you folks to tap the screen. I haven't solicited that. Tap the screen, get the likes up. We're trying to get up to at least about 50. So if you could give it a minute on TikTok, a good minute of tapping, that would help out. Tap the screen, get the likes up. But yeah, to get elected, and I understand why MAGA did it. I totally understand why they did it, because I think the left would have did the same thing. But what MAGA was doing was trying to win. So you can't admit all of this draconian shit is likely to happen because it would hurt with the chance of winning. So you gotta lead people to believe he's gonna be pro-LGBTQ. Now, I don't know what happened with TikTok. I'm gonna have to, for some reason they don't fuck with my live access, so I'm at the appeal. They don't done something on TikTok, but we can continue running the show on Instagram and YouTube. Let me see what happened here. Somebody was hating. I just want to go ahead and put this appeal in. Usually, sometimes it comes right back within a minute or so, but somebody don't. TikTok is so crazy with the, damn, I can't stop all these comments from coming in. Give me 1 second, folks. All right. There we go. All right. They took the live down for misinformation. They never tell you what. Somebody probably was bitching or something like that. We'll see what happens. But while that's going on, we'll continue with the program. Yeah, I agree with you, Will, though, that MAGA's doing their job. Their job is to get their candidate in power by making it sound like he's going to be as close to moderate as possible. He's only going to worry about the economy. He's going to end all the wars overseas. He's going to bring down the price of fuel, things that everybody agree on. They're not going to tell you ahead of time that if he gets in office, he's going to attack the transgender community and try to eradicate them from society. Now, Trump did say some of this stuff, but MAGA was saying that he was just joking. He can't do that. It's not going to happen. Well, here we are now, only in week 3. Only in week 3. But I do believe personally that a national abortion ban is going to be something that they're going to attempt. I feel confident of that. So we'll see what happens with that. Trump failed up. Caller is a goofball TDS. Well, there is an explanation, Edgy, for how you can fail up. I can't think of it offhand right now, but you can fail up. You can fail up. You can keep failing, and life can continue getting better for you. There is a way to fail up. Normally I can describe shit. I can't describe that one right now, but yeah, failing up is real. That can happen. Born in wealth, taxpayer subsidy, hoarding and stiffing the government, workers and services sounds like an easy life to me. His life was easy, but he made himself a lot wealthier. Did he hoard and stiff the government? Probably. I think most of those folks do that. You know, they find ways of, that's why when Trump got, when they started indicting him, you had people like Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank coming out and saying, look, everybody does this. Is Ronan just charge him? You know, he was kind of admitting we all do, which in my opinion should have led to people looking through his shit, because he was kind of admitting I do it too. But I do believe it. I do believe that Trump got charged for stuff that he would not have been charged for if he was not running for president. In terms of the devaluating his properties and the lying on the taxes stuff, I don't believe he would have got charged for that if he wasn't running for president. But I said the same thing about Hunter Biden, lying on a gun application, and you didn't commit any additional crimes with the gun. If Hunter Biden's dad wasn't running for president, he wouldn't have got charged either. So I bring that up when folks try to say, well, you know, Trump was a victim of a witch hunt. Well, so was Biden. So was Hunter Biden. He was a victim of one as well. And if you wanted Hunter Biden to be charged, then you're okay with witch hunts. But what they were doing to Hunter Biden was the exact same thing as what they were doing to Trump, at least in that case. Now, the January 6th and the find me 11,000 votes, that's different. That is different. There's no way in hell a president should be online with a governor in the middle of an election talking about find me votes. That is a major conflict of interest. That shouldn't be happening, but folks are going to defend Trump no matter what. All right, looking in the comments, though, Hunter is guilty. Yeah, so is Trump. So is Trump. But it's something that they normally wouldn't charge you for. It's like if you go and cross the street and don't go at the crosswalk and you're jaywalking, very rare do cops actually cite somebody for jaywalking. If they cited you, maybe it's because you're talking shit or something else, but fact is you are guilty. It's just something they normally let you get away with. I think Trump, what they charged Trump with, they would have worked with his lawyer, Michael Cohen at the time. He would have made some kind of deal, paid a fine, and it would have went away. Same thing with Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, if his dad wasn't president, they would have made some kind of deal. He would have pled to some low charge, served no time, paid a fine, and it would have went away. Same thing. So I do believe both of those cases are like that. Mike Clue Dog says I got blocked on TikTok. Yeah, TikTok went down, and I'm not going to bring up the other platform for it. Okay, well, actually TikTok, the appeal went through. We're back on TikTok in 3, 2, 1. So if you were on TikTok, the program is running back on the same platform. Sometimes people hate and they tell and say shit. We didn't say anything that was worthy of getting knocked off. So I put in an appeal. Less than 5 minutes, we're back on TikTok. So if you were on TikTok, come back on there. We're back on there now, and I'll take calls right off the bat. Johnny 11, yeah, it's quick because it should have never happened. It should have never happened. Now, I always used to believe that it was liberals and this cancel culture getting people taken off social media. Now that I've been on here long enough, I know there's a lot of folks on the right that do it as well. There's a whole lot of folks on the right that do it as well. It ain't just liberals. There's a lot of folks on the right that do that shit too. Everybody could smell the fish on January 6th. What do you mean by that, Josh? Fish? You have to explain that one. All right, going back to the bots on TikTok where somebody comes up. Only one Trump. If Trump was mediocre, we would have 100 of them. I like that answer, Mina. That's a great answer. In regards to that was Mike. In regards to my last caller, Mike saying Trump is mediocre. Mina makes a great point. There's only one of Trump. If he was mediocre, there would be dozens of them. I can't argue with that. I don't think the guy's mediocre. I do not think Trump is mediocre. Now, has he always been on the up and up? No. We know he exaggerates on everything we know about. His height, his weight, his wealth, his inauguration crowd size. If he tells you the number of rapists and murderers, if he gives you anything that involves numbers, the numbers are exaggerated. So, but that doesn't mean he's mediocre. But yeah, he inflates things. Anything he tells you that involves numbers, chances are those numbers are inaccurate. So when you start hearing about how many immigrants have been deported, or how many immigrants that have been deported are criminals, don't believe those numbers. That's all I'm going to tell you. Don't believe those. Those numbers are going to be inflated. That's just what he does. But that don't mean he ain't getting something done. It just means he's overstating it. He is the big wheel that makes things happen, says Charlene. Yeah, he makes things happen. I don't know if they're always good, though. That's the point. I don't know if they're always good things that are happening. Because somebody tried to pierce his ear. He made that happen, too. So it's not always good. But he does make a lot of shit happen. But I do agree with Mina in saying that there's only one Trump, and if he was mediocre, there would be a bunch of them. Actually, we do. We do have a. Oh my God! Listen to this example. Will says actually we do have 100 Trumps. Bernie Madoff was the one that fell so that Trump can walk. I don't know. I don't. You know, when you look at how Bernie Madoff or what was the other guy, Sam Bankman-Fried or whatever his name was. I don't put Trump in that category. Yeah, Trump. I don't believe he was honest about Trump University, Trump Steaks, but I don't put him in the category of Bernie Madoff, who Bernie Madoff, probably 90% of his fortune was made from fraud. I don't put Trump in that category. To me, Trump is a salesman. Look, if you go out and sell somebody a vacuum cleaner, and you tell them this is the best vacuum cleaner you can get for the money, even if you're lying about that, I don't think that's fraud in the same category. I hate to sound like I'm making excuses for the guy, but I am to some degree. I don't put him in the same category as Bernie Madoff. I don't think what he did is that bad. I don't think his victims, because Trump has lied to people. He's victimized people like contractors that he didn't pay and things like that. But I don't think the victims that Trump has are anywhere near as awful as what Sam Bankman-Fried or Bernie Madoff or some of them folks have. I think what they did is far worse. I mean, they literally bankrupt people, like their whole fortunes and things like that. I don't think Trump has, I wouldn't put him in that category. Who do you think gets a cut of Trumpy Trout? Is he selling fish now? Is Trump selling fish now? Am I behind on that? Somebody else said that. Is he selling fish now? What is your opinion on Mexican gangs or Venezuelan gangs? If you're in America and you're committing crimes, you need to be kicked out. It's as simple as that. I'm not so far to the left that I believe you should be giving folks that are not even in the country legally a second chance, or they're joining gangs and shit like that. I'm not a fan of no, kick them out. But once again, as I pointed out, any numbers you hear from Trump are likely greatly inflated. I don't believe the average illegal immigrant in this country is an MS-13 or Venezuelan gang member. Trump makes it sound like Venezuela emptied their prisons. So anybody that's in this country from Venezuela, you can assume they've been in prison already and that they're super violent. That's inflated in my opinion. I don't buy that. But if you do have an official gang member that's committing crimes, yeah, he's good to go. Deport him. I don't believe in arresting a guy, refusing to cooperate with ICE, and then releasing him back in society. That's the reason why a lot of folks disassociated with the Democratic Party. That shouldn't happen. Anybody that's in jail, now if he's in there for a misdemeanor or some shit like that, you know, he driving without tags on his car or some shit like that, maybe we can talk on that. But if he's in there for anything that's considered a felony, it shouldn't even be up for debate. He needs to go. You haven't even gotten a chance to stay here legally, and you're already a felon. No, yeah, you need to go. So I'm with that part of it. There was another one I wanted to comment on, and thank you guys that are tapping the screen. I called ICE on my mother-in-law. Problem solved. There is an actual example of that. I wish I had the clip to bring up. Guy dialed 911. He's been charged. He pulled over a car with 3 Mexicans in it, and I think he took the keys out of the car so they couldn't drive off, claiming that the driver didn't have a license or something like that. That's just a regular average citizen. Called 911 and said, I got 3 Mexicans here. One doesn't have a license, and I don't believe they're in the country legally. They showed up and he got charged with multiple crimes. He got charged with 3 counts of kidnapping because he was not letting them leave. I think they're all citizens. So that is a problem we're going to have, is you're going to start having Americans feeling empowered by what Trump is saying, deputizing themselves. I'll go to the box after I get this point out, but one issue I'm talking about here is how many people you've heard say, if I ever seen a man go in the bathroom with my daughter, I'm going to kick his ass. We've all heard that, I'm sure. Anti-trans rhetoric. Here's the problem with that. You can't always tell the sex of somebody by looking at their face or even how big they are. There are a lot of women that grow facial hair. There are a lot of men that look very feminine in stature. So if you got folks deputizing themselves, you're likely to start having citizens grabbing women on the way into a female's bathroom, demanding that they somehow prove they're a woman. My daughter's in there. I'm not letting you in here. Just because a woman got a thinning mustache or a few, hairs growing under her chin or something like that. That's likely to start happening. Is that some Americans are going to start stopping other Americans, thinking that they're the wrong gender and not letting them ambassador. This is what hate can happen. This is what can happen as a result of hate. Because people were saying, if you go to bed for my daughter, I'm gonna kick your ass. You can't always look at it. Everybody don't look like Caitlyn Jenner, where you can clearly look at Caitlyn. Even Caitlyn Jenner, there are women out there that look more manly than that. You can't just look at somebody in the face and tell what gender they are. So your daughter's in the bathroom, and now you're blocking what could be an actual woman from entering the bathroom. That is almost guaranteed to happen now. Looking in the comments, only white people will be doing that, and now filling the jails with themselves. I don't know if they'll go to jail under Trump though. He may pass a law that something like that ain't necessarily a crime. I don't know. He's looking out for his people. Trump looks out for his people. King Finn, good evening. Welcome to the program, King. Let me turn the volume up. My apologies. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear now. So,
All right.
a whole bunch. I don't know how long you've been listening, because we've been discussing a few things here, but Elon Musk is probably the biggest topic I'm talking about, because he has somebody on his team that has said some really racist shit, and he's fighting on behalf of getting the guy back in. I think he's already won the argument to get the guy back in government. Have you heard anything about this?
Why are we fighting to let them back into any damn thing? If they weren't elected officials, then what the hell are they doing there? I've been saying this from the beginning. There's no reason that Elonia and the Doji team needs to be there. Elonia don't need to be there for what? He ain't doing nothing but taking all the money.
Well,
That's all he doing.
They believe he's saving Americans a bunch of tax money and not keeping it for himself, is what you're alluding to.
Shit. That fool putting all that money in his pocket, man. If y'all believe anything other than that dumbass the South African super dude is doing anything other than putting that money in his pocket, I don't know what to tell y'all. Y'all just as dumb as we all thought y'all.
You think someone as rich as Elon? You think somebody as rich as Elon Musk is trying to rob the American people?
Man, what do you think he gave Trump that money for, man? He didn't give Trump that money for funsies. You thought it was a loan? Where Trump getting that billions of dollars from? Trump ain't getting that money from nowhere. Trump is getting that money from the American people. That's exactly where Elon going to get it from.
I'm under the impression Elon Musk just wants to make America great.
Dude, why would he come do that? Let me ask you this. The South African super dude, motherfucker ain't got no business over here in the first damn place, okay? He ain't from here. But all of you idiot MAGA motherfuckers is running up, oh, he's so patriotic. Patriotic of what? He done showed you he down with the shitsies, with the shotsies. He done showed you he down with that. They showed you what he down with.
They don't buy that. They think it might have been just a joke.
What's funny about that?
I don't fucking know. And I asked the same question. I do not know what.
Ask the Jewish people to see that shit. What was funny about that?
I don't have I don't have an answer for making jokes about racism.
That shit ain't funny. I don't find it funny when damn Richard Pryor walked up and down the street and said the damn N-word.
Yeah.
So what the hell is so damn funny about that?
Yeah.
Nothing funny about that
and
shit.
And it's particularly distressing if it's somebody in government. It's one thing to be a comedian where you're trying to get laughs, but a person in government shouldn't be doing that, in my opinion.
Not just that, dude. Why does the South African super dork team of maybe 25-year-olds need to get all the personal information? Can you please let me understand why these barely 20-year-old kids need this information? Because that's what we're looking at. Our social security numbers, our credit cards, our damn birth certificates to do shit on the dark web. Why do they have this information, and why are they getting access to it?
I don't personally have an answer for that, but it is something worthy of pondering. I don't know why they want all that information. I have no clue. Huh?
I find a problem with that.
Yeah, it's very problematic. Yeah, it's very problematic, and they're not explaining why they need all of that.
And why is the Congress trying to block people? They're trying to block ways and means. Why are we trying to block people from understanding the reason that these little kids need the information to this money, because the only thing it sounds like is they doing a money grab. That's what it sounds like.
Okay, but let me now we're on YouTube in regards to what we're discussing with the information. He says, is this guy joking? Everyone in the government can access our information anytime he wants. So he's making it sound like what Elon is doing is nothing special.
And that means, so you normalizing the bullshit, okay? Normalize the bullshit. I
Yeah.
can tell you, that sound like something a fluffer for MAGA would say. A MAGA fluffer would say.
You guys in this fluffer,
Okay.
you guys in this fluffer shit.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no denying that what Elon is doing is taking it to a different level. This is not when you say everybody and go. No, it's. I mean, he's asking for information to FBI agents and shit that is normally off limits. Yeah, he's going further than the average government employee.
Like, yeah, average government employees, there's something called compartmentalization.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Where every single person don't know every single secret, and there's a reason for that? Because some people should have that information, some people shouldn't.
You know, my opinion is, now, I think one thing that Trump has made clear, or the Trump administration has made clear, is that they want to go after people that they believe may have mistreated them or not, that does not favor their agenda. So I could easily see this stuff being used when you're looking to take revenge on somebody. I could see using this information for that. That's what I think this has to do with, is using it for revenge down the line.
USAid blocked his ass because they don't want him trying to get no more blood diamonds. And now all of the farmers is crying about they not getting into these programs. Little Miss Becky on TikTok crying about how they took all their food stamps away. Farmers are talking about how they can't get the subsidies for these programs because, you know, Elon, the South African super dork, and the Cheeto himself have turned off all the money, you know what I'm saying, going out to these farmers to help them out. You know what I'm saying? That's great. That's awesome. Kids can't get breakfast at school no more. You know what I'm saying? All these, I mean, like, yeah, this is awesome. This is winning. This is totally winning, isn't it? Y'all gonna be so tired of winning when the country ain't got no more damn money.
Oddly enough, I have not heard any MAGA complaining that they're unhappy. Most MAGA is still very happy with Trump. So they don't have voters' remorse.
I'm glad they don't. Give them what they say. Give them a chance. Give them a couple months. Bet you they won't be singing that same tune. Hashtag MAGA. Hashtag leaving MAGA, right?
Hashtag leaving MAGA. The only people I've seen one lady on TikTok, on social media, her video's been going around because she said they used us. She's a Venezuelan immigrant, and she was told apparently.
I know you talking about.
Yeah, apparently she was told that they're not going to go after folks who have some documentation. So I guess like if you requested asylum, you're on paper, and as long as you do what the process is while you're under asylum request, we're not talking about deporting you. And the woman believed that. And now,
was that before or after they grabbed her grandma? Or is that before or after they grabbed her son or her uncle or her brother or somebody and snatched their ass into an ice rig?
Before. Yeah, before. And that's what it is. They just like the clip I played of Trump talking about all the great things he was going to do for the LGBTQ community. And they, what did you
must be great to be not recognized as a person. Must be great to not be recognized as a race or as trans. Must be great to only be recognized as a man or a woman, right? Yeah. That must be awesome.
Well,
damn dummies. We told y'all what he was gonna do. Nobody believed it. Oh, he's not gonna do that. That's not what he meant. And now y'all starting to see. That's exactly what he meant. He meant what he said he was gonna do. You right about that. Yeah, he's mediocre, but he did do what he said he was gonna do.
He's not mediocre. He's not. I don't think
he's mediocre. If that's the case, if he's not mediocre, then Big Meech and all the drug dealers that have dope on the corner ain't mediocre neither, because they selling the same bullshit.
I don't think they're mediocre. They're criminals by our standards, but I don't think they're mediocre either.
What's the point? Trump's a 54-count felon. He's a criminal too. What are you talking about?
All right, I don't know. We see it a little different though.
It ain't different. It's the same thing. If you're gonna call Big Meech a criminal for selling dope, you gotta call the South African super dork and the Cheeto criminals.
Let me tell you why I say it's different. Let me tell you why I say it's different. You don't get to Big Meech's level without ordering some hits. I mean, you're killing people. Trump ain't doing nothing like that.
For real, he ain't. What about you? Just talked about it. He can just kill off all the trans people and say they don't exist no more.
They're not
They dead. They gone.
They're not dead,
The
King.
trans people.
They're not
They
dead.
dead. They gone. They don't exist. They don't exist. It's only one. It's only two sexes
genders.
now,
Two
right?
genders. Yeah, two genders.
Two genders, man and a woman. So they dead. Trans people they no longer exist, do they?
To
So
him.
he killed off all of them trans people.
Oh, I don't.
He's finna go over there. He's finna go over to the Gaza Strip and quote unquote rebuild.
Yeah.
Move these people out and rebuild the Gaza Strip into the redneck Riviera, or excuse me, the Riviera of the Middle East. Where we know it ain't gonna be shit but a whole bunch of rednecks over there with a whole bunch of money where you gonna try to entertain them with these busted ass golf courses he put up by sending a whole bunch of Mexicans over there in slavery and making them make the damn thing. So yeah, he gonna do that too.
I don't think he's gonna do it. Damn, you really get. I don't think he's gonna do all that. I don't think the whole Gaza thing, and that's the problem with electing somebody that is a businessman. People say we needed a businessman, and this is something I push back on all the time, and I say that is that a businessman operates on profit. And if you're leading a country, you don't need to be looking for dollar signs in everything you do. And that is something Trump does, is everything he does, he's looking at it from a standpoint of dollar signs. Those are people's lives. I mean, you've seen golf courses in the Riviera of the Middle East. These are people's homes. This is their lives, their culture. But you elected a businessman. He's doing what he...
They don't give a shit about that. What do they care about that for? What could they possibly care about that for? It don't even make sense.
Are you saying the man lacks compassion?
It lacks compassion. He doesn't have a soul. What are you talking about?
The man said almost getting shot has brought him closer to Christ.
Yeah. So you really believe that bullshit? A person that says he's never asked for forgiveness.
Yeah, but
he's never asked for forgiveness from God.
Yeah, but when he said that he had never been shot at, maybe the shooting brought him closer to God for real.
Come on, man. You know that shit. Stop playing.
I can't.
You starting to do some fluffing now, Tim. You fluffing.
Oh my God.
You starting to fluff. See, look, now you fluffing. You on bullshit. You know I'm gonna call you on that shit. You fluffing now.
Oh my.
You damn well that dude ain't got no bit of damn Christianity, no type of religion on him. Now you be better off to just go ahead and say you and him believe the same thing, because that motherfucker's a true atheist. He ain't got no type of religion. You ain't never said you was a true atheist. You just said you have questions.
I got questions.
I can admire your opinion.
All right,
I like that. Ain't nothing wrong with Ain't nothing wrong with questioning the shit that you hear and the shit that you see.
I don't. And see, now that you don't said that bullshit, I don't already got attacked in the comments. Brit, this one might be funny. Brit MAGA in the comments is referring to me as. They want to get in touch. Brit MAGA is referring to me as Tim the Fluffy Liberal. So you don't fuck me up now. You don't fuck me up.
You fluffing, man. You fluffing for the White House, dog.
I'm not fluffing.
Now, man.
I'm not fluffing.
You sure you ain't fluffing?
I'm not
You out
fluffing.
here fluffing for the Cheeto?
No.
Making the Cheeto fluffy again?
No. I call balls and strikes. I don't think Trump is mediocre. I'm just simply saying. That ain't fluffing.
You gotta watch what you say. Hey, wait, you gotta watch what you say when you fluffing, man. You just said you call balls and strikes.
That ain't fluffing.
You gotta watch it, dog. You calling balls and strikes now.
What are you, Master P now? Are you Master P? I gotta go.
You're doing something different.
Oh my God.
You doing something weird on us, dog. I'll holler at you. Don't be fluffing for MAGA, dog.
I'm out. Jesus Christ. Fluffing for MAGA. I've heard it all. King, always a pleasure, man. Thank you. All right, well, looking in the comments, I do want to make sure I respond to, okay, I saw that already. What did he say? This is, Will says, Kyle Clark. Not familiar with who Kyle Clark is. Kyle Clark gave an update on ICE in Colorado if you go to his YouTube channel. Now, I was under the impression that There was Venezuelan gangs. That was in Colorado Springs somewhere, was it? Where was the gangs that were taking over an apartment building in Colorado that the right was making so much of a big deal over? Because I mean, they're on video with long guns and things like that going in people's apartments. So the right didn't make that up. I mean, that actually did happen, but obviously the right is going to show you that on every loop they could, and they made it sound like they were taking over far more shit than they were, but it did happen. And I remember the police chief coming out and saying that what the right was saying, was it in Aurora, Colorado? So Aurora is a suburb of Denver. I've been there. And I remember the chief or the mayor of that town was saying that it happened in a complex, like one apartment building or something like that, and that the right was making it sound like they were taking over the whole town. And that is true. That's the same thing they said with Black Lives Matter. You know, they're burning up cities. Black Lives Matter never burned down a whole town. I mean, but this is how you inflate things. They're burning up cities. That didn't happen. But in the comments, you guys in this fluffer shit. Will says MAGA ain't shit. Fluffer public relations. A person who spins a topic to make it look more positive. It almost sounds as if you guys are alluding to suggesting that the host, yours truly, is not shit. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Look, I'm not going to criticize the guy if I don't believe criticism is due. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't believe Trump is mediocre. I don't put him in a category with Bernie Madoff and some of those folks. I mean, he's not an honest man. I'm not going to pretend like he's an honest man, but you can't overdo it. I think you guys are swinging too hard. Trump is hiding bodies. Make no mistake. Will, you think Trump is hiding bodies? Hiding bodies. I don't know. You had to see some evidence of that. I don't think he's taking lives. Now, once you're in a political office, yeah, you're going to be passing laws that gets people killed. I mean, every president does that. But before Trump became president, he was still insanely wealthy, and I'm not sure he was responsible for anybody's death. I'd have to hear somebody explain that. You know, there are people born. Wait a minute. You know, there are people born with both do not exist. Okay, well, you got to correct that. You know, there are people born with both I can't understand what you're saying, and I hate it because you sent the super chat. You know, there are people born with both. Okay, there's no way I can make that out. Trump was sent by God, says April. Well, it's interesting you would say that because when I went to a Trump rally, I had somebody tell me that to my face. I didn't get in line. 5-hour wait, and I waited about 5 hours to go into the MAGA rally. And I was cordial. I didn't get into debates with people or any of that. I just wanted to see what the rally was about. And for all intents and purposes, I was a Trump supporter like everybody else. So I didn't get into any debates, but just having a conversation with a guy, he told me Trump was sent by God. There are people who do believe that. There are certainly people who do believe it. Before I go back to the box, though, this is a clip. Says TDS destroys brain cells. Will get some help. Draco, I don't see how you can have TDS and not have Hillary Clinton derangement syndrome or Biden derangement syndrome. You can have it no matter what. Oh, hermaphrodites. Yeah, they do exist. And that's why I keep pointing out, I'm not a fan of this whole anti-trans laws and all this shit. The shit is too rare. I'm not disagreeing that folks on the right, MAGA, do not have a point that you shouldn't be able to play for a sports team or the other. I agree with it. But what I'm saying is it is so fucking rare that it shouldn't be getting this much attention. What happened to the price of eggs? The price of gas? We're going after something that even when you get the law passed that you want to have passed, nobody notices the difference from it. If you pass a law saying that transgender cannot use the other bathroom, virtually no American is going to notice any difference in their lives. It ain't like there was a whole bunch of Americans complaining that people from the wrong sex was walking in the bathroom with them. This is a change that is irrelevant in terms of any difference it's going to make. This is akin to hiding under a blanket as a kid so that the burglars won't get you. It is of no value at all. It shouldn't be getting as much attention is the point I'm making. It just shouldn't. As I mentioned earlier, the chance of you going, let's say a girl, because we don't seem to care about the transgender men, it's only the transgender women everybody's bitching about. Let's say a girl goes into a bathroom. The chances of her being in that bathroom with somebody who was a biologically born male that is now dressed up as a female are exceptionally low. And then the whole reason we don't want them in there is because we think they may abuse the child. So you got to then go into that category. Not only are you a girl in the bathroom with a biologically born male, but now that male is trying to actively harm you. You got more humans that get struck by lightning than that. That's how rare that is. You got more people in this country that get struck by lightning than that go into a bathroom with a transgender woman that then tries to abuse them. It just don't fucking happen enough for this to be getting this type of credit. Now in the comments, Ozzy Mama says, does it make it right? No, it don't make it right. It don't make it right, but it shouldn't be getting this much fucking attention. This amounts to a whole lot of something over nothing. You know how many laws we could pass about your child shouldn't be left at home with a priest or shouldn't be left at church with a priest by themselves. There are far more of them that abuse kids. I mean, if this is really about protecting children, children get victimized and harmed by a whole lot more shit than a member of the LGBTQ community. Where are all the laws for that stuff? This is probably the least harmful thing to a kid. Is some dude that dresses up as a woman. It ain't even in the top 1,000 probably of things that can harm a kid. A transgender female is probably not even in the top 1,000. It shouldn't be. This should not be getting this kind of attention. Is the point I'm making. Whatever money was spent trying to pass laws, all wasted money. It's not going to change anybody's lives at all. Because if you are a transgender woman and you really look like a woman, nobody's going to know anyway. So even though the law says you can't use the wrong bathroom, it ain't going to make a difference in your life at all. The worst thing that transgender woman could have ever done was ask for permission. As Nike said, just do it. There's a whole lot of transgender women that look, for the most part, damn near like a girl. Just go use the fucking bathroom. Just go use the bathroom. That's it. Because you as a citizen, if you think your daughter's in the bathroom and you think you see a woman going in that bathroom and you try to stop that woman from going in that bathroom and you turn out to be wrong and that person is not transgender, it's an actual woman, you commit a felony. Not to mention all of the whole thing about where if a girl goes in the bathroom with my daughter, I'm gonna kick his ass. You could find yourself doing that to a real actual woman that's unattractive. You committing felonies and shit. So yeah, to me, this is a whole lot of something over nothing. Well, one is too many. One is too many that get struck by lightning. I mean, like, this is insane in my opinion. Looking in the comments, kids know who they are, right? I would tell you this, I've seen plenty of transgender on TikTok. And I'm like, damn, there's no way in the hell I would have been able to tell that was a man. So no, you can't always tell. People think it's gonna be me with a wig on. It's just not like that. Looking in the comments, okay, but they just can't have their own bathrooms in sports league. Yeah, they can, but it ain't about that. Because you notice they're not bitching about transgender men playing sports with other dudes. This ain't about saving kids or anything. This stuff is about hatred to that community. That's all it's about. That's all this is about, is hatred to that community. And the perfect example would be how folks reacted when when a girl appeared on a Bud Light can. Wasn't no kids in sight on that. You ain't protecting child beer drinkers from a transgender person on the fucking can. So it's hate, but people don't want to come out and say it. But anywhere a transgender person shows up, they're going to have problems. I don't care where they show up. People going to complain because it's hate. It's hate. It ain't nothing. You can make up any excuse for why you don't want them there. I get it, but it's hate. Anywhere they show up, people going to bitch. An adult beverage should not have had any concern like that. The fact that they went off when he was on when that transgender woman was on a beer can, perfect example. It's just hate. And people don't want to call it what it is. Going back to the box, women playing with men is making the team weaker. Men playing with women makes the team stronger. It's not hate, it's facts. It ain't none of your fucking business though. If the coach of the team believes that his men, let's say you got a football team, one of the tougher sports, and during the practice runs, you run routes with a female. Or they put a female in there and let her throw passes to the players. Your response then, look, you say women playing with men is making the team weaker. It ain't none of your business. If the coach does it and his team is weaker, then they'll lose. That's it. You don't pass laws to prevent it. That shouldn't be part of a law. It makes the team weaker, so we're going to pass a law. We're going to talk to Congress about that. You can't have them out there on the field. Let's go talk to Congress about it. That's insane. Looking in the comments, though, once again, you know what I got to say. Will G says, MAGA ain't shit. Worried about trends that have no effect on their lives, and I agree with that 100%. But Elon taking Social Security birthdays and addresses, knowing that he is known for shouting down Teslas and blowing up satellites is no big deal. Spot on comment. Spot on comment. People are, you've heard of the term deflection. People are focused on something else. They get you looking at something else to prevent you from paying attention to this. The transgender community is a deflection. I don't care if you talk, let's say you don't like the transgender community or you don't like what they're doing. So you write down a list of laws to make sure the transgender is not being shoved down kids' throats. They're not using the wrong bathroom. They're not playing for the wrong team. You get every law you want passed. 99.9% of Americans ain't going to be affected by that shit at all. Probably over 99.9% of Americans. Nobody's been affected by this stuff. It's just hate. You're passing a bunch of laws that doesn't benefit anybody. It benefits your psyche. I don't like them people and I want to make life harder for them. I don't want them around. So that's what's happening. You're just passing a law that doesn't benefit you. I mean, how many girls out there are actually having their records in school broken by male athletes? How many schools are actually dealing with that? I bet it's less than 0.1%, 0.01%. It's just not happening. But there's a whole law that says it can't happen anymore because one is too many. All right, let me go back to the box. Continuing on with the program, we'll go to Gen X. Should be interesting. Gen X, and I know you disagree with all of this, but always good to talk to you. Gen X, what am I getting wrong?
Man, what in the fuck is going on here tonight?
You guys are, I'm talking about MAGA bashing trans.
No, man, hey, you know what? I don't have much time. I got someone coming to pick me up. I'm going out tonight.
Oh.
The other day you were in a stream and they would not let you talk. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, of course.
Well, they started talking about Trump said something that I disagree with. Taking violent convicted felons, American felons, and sending them out of country to like Guatemala and subcontracting with countries outside of our borders to send Americans to.
Is he
convicted of violent felons?
Is that true?
I disagree with that. I hope it's not. Well, anyway, getting back to my point, I was in that same chat. Bro, as of, you know me, I'm 100% MAGA. They attacked me from every direction.
Wow.
Yeah, bro, and ended up throwing me out because I left them speechless.
Well, you know, I always like talking to MAGA, so I do. If I'm not doing my own thing, you find me in MAGA forums, and of course, you know, being somebody that leans left, I always get attacked. I'm okay with it, which is why I only take one caller, because I don't like all that screaming and shit. When I'm in there, I gotta yell because I'm being attacked by 6 people at once. I can't talk, so it's nowhere near as cordial as my program. You know,
Right, Queen Mom is right. El Salvador said that they would take these prisoners. What do you think about that?
I don't like it because entering America illegally is a crime. There's no denying that. But you don't send them to what amounts to a 23-1 prison. I think that's what they're doing in El Salvador. I mean, that's a pretty hard. I mean, they tried to escape the horrors or the poverty of where they came from, whether it's Guatemala, whether it's, you know, Colombia, Peru, wherever they came from. And they came to America, and we're going to send them to an even worse place than where they actually came from. It just makes America look like a piece of shit. The richest country on earth is going to do this.
Right. Here's my problem with it, and it's the same reason I oppose the death penalty. Our conviction process is inadequate. There's a lot of people on death row that people get released all the time. Because forensics and DNA, they go, oh, this motherfucker didn't do it.
Yep.
20 years later, they'll let his ass go. There are so many people that are labeled with violent convictions because they didn't want to face a death penalty, so they copped out to a violent life sentence. Innocent people. Now, unless it's 100% ironclad that these people are guilty, I am not okay with sending potentially an innocent American outside of our borders.
It's interesting. Now you're MAGA. It's interesting you say that. Now you're MAGA. Dana Worley on YouTube responded. Now he's obviously MAGA as well. He said, "Good. Maybe it will be a deterrent." So if you treat him like that, even the treatment that even you disagree with, he's saying, "Good. Treat him really, really bad. Maybe it'll deter other people from coming here."
Now I don't have a problem with guilty people. Again, the problem is. Some of those people took plea bargains to avoid a death penalty because there was just so much circumstantial evidence against them. They can't afford a lawyer. They get a public pretender, and the public pretender says, hey, we're going to blow trial, and they're going to stick you in a gas chamber. Like, oh, fuck it, I'll take it.
Let me ask it to you this way. If somebody is in this country illegally, I'm not talking about somebody who came up here and raped and murdered somebody. I'm just talking about somebody who is undocumented here illegally. They're still good to deport. But my question is, should we care about their welfare once we deport them? Or should we be like, you shouldn't have been here, we don't give a fuck what happened to you, you just gotta leave? Should we care about where they're going once we send them out of here?
Well, I wouldn't fucking send them to Beirut, you know what I mean?
El Salvador sounds like it's the same shit.
You know, and that's a great question because there's a lot of variables. Do they speak the language? Do they have family there? Do they have friends there? Do they know the customs? Do they know, the way of life?
You're not sounding very MAGA-like because I got a whole bunch of people in the comments saying, fuck them, send them anywhere, I don't care. So you're not sounding very MAGA-like. You sure you're not turning into a liberal? You're hugging a tree?
I wasn't done yet. But the bottom line is they're still here illegally. And I'm sorry, you got to go. Now, I think priority should be given to the violent people, the gang members, shit like that. And the people that aren't violent gang members that pay their bills and they do you can kind of look over them until we get rid of the bad people.
Let me give you an example of what Trump's border czar said. Let's say, for instance, you are looking for a bad hombre. He has a felony, and he is living with somebody. You go in there to arrest him. You get a warrant, but they don't even get warrants, and they just break into people's shit. But let's say you go in the house. You got the bad guy that has 2 felonies on his record, but he's at the house, and you notice his grandma is there watching 3 or 4 younger kids, and you find out grandma has no legal right to be here either. Now, she has nothing on her rap sheet. She is undocumented, which is the only crime she's committed. Do you take grandma too?
So grab your X-Lax, Grams, because you're fucking on your way out.
Do you care where grandma goes?
Grab your prune juice and fucking pack your shit.
Do you care where grandma goes?
Yes, I do. On a personal level, on a professional business level, no. Because she shouldn't have been here illegally in the first place. We've got to separate feeling from fact. You know what I mean? I'm a human being. I've got feelings. But the facts are, she broke the law. She's here illegally. What's good for the...
You know that shit. You know what's interesting? You would say that. You know what's interesting? You would say all this separating feelings from fact when Trump made all these feelings about the January 6th criminals, talking about that he had to get them out of the jail because it was disgusting and inhumane. He didn't say nothing like, well, you should have thought about that before you went into the Capitol building illegally. So are we separating feelings from facts only when it's people we don't care about?
I think you pronounce hostages wrong. You pronounce hostages criminals. Those are two different things. That's
you know them motherfuckers with no hostages. You know them dudes as criminals. They on video beating up cops.
Man, don't make me fluffer you, man. Your own people did it to you. I will do it too, man.
Oh my God. My own people. Jesus. What time is your dinner you going out to? Jesus. Huh?
Nothing.
Oh my God. Oh my. Let me play Will G just for you. All right, so anyway, you got me fucking up with my soundboard here, but Jesus Christ. So in other words, we don't care. You know, this is the reason though, Gen X is why I'm not as deeply devoted to the church and to Christianity anymore, because to me this stuff sounds as anti-Christian as you can be. It just sounds like we don't give a damn about human beings. If you enter America illegally, we don't care if you're poor, we don't care if somebody's chasing you, somebody's trying to, we don't want you here. And if we gotta send you back to somewhere where your life may be, where you may die, we don't give a damn. We just don't want you here. I don't hear Christianity in any of this.
It's not about, you got to, again, that's a feeling thing. You got to be...
Yeah, compassion is a feeling. Compassion, sympathy, all of that is a feeling. You're right.
You got to be able to separate it, man.
You know, to me, it would be like during the Last Supper if Jesus kept all the bread and said, look, it ain't about feeling. It ain't about emotion. Y'all need to go and find yourself something to eat just like I did. And he's sitting there with a whole loaf of bread by himself. That's what it sounds like, because we're the wealthiest nation on earth, and we're telling some of the poorest people out there, we're not going to do shit for you. It would literally be like Jesus sitting there eating a whole loaf of bread by himself and telling all them other folks to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That ain't Christianity to me.
But don't you see how unrealistic that is, Tim, what you just said?
No, I don't. Tell me how it's unrealistic.
A whole loaf of bread. Why would he do that when he can make more? He can turn water into wine?
This is where the whole term you said about feelings, compassion is why he did it. Compassion for his fellow man. What we're doing shows no compassion. America first is not a compassionate slogan. It's a me, me, me slogan.
No, I think it's just showing compassion. It's not showing compassion where you want compassion directed. You want compassion directed toward, and not just you, but you people.
What are you hanging around Elon Musk? You going out with Elon Musk tonight?
What about compassion for the American people? What about compassion for those that aren't getting benefited from all this bullshit handouts?
We don't even. Well, I would tell you this: if what you were saying was accurate based on history, I would kind of agree with you, but Obamacare, the primary recipient of Obamacare was going to be Americans. We didn't want to do that either. I mean, tuition forgiveness, the primary recipient of that's going to be an American. We don't even have a compassion for Americans. You got schools that are getting rid of free lunch for kids. I mean, we don't even have compassion for each other. So, no, there is no compassion at all. It ain't America first. It's really me first. Me, me, me. That's what I'm talking about.
No, I think it's America first. I think it's America first. I just think that we all have different priorities on where we believe that compassion belongs. Some people believe that it belongs with immigrants and this and that, and it's got to be spread around the world. And we need to get Sesame Street for fucking Iraqis. And other people think that it needs to be spread among Americans here in the United States.
Do you have any examples? Trump has been
in California.
Trump has been president already for 4 years. Do you have any examples of him spreading it around with other Americans?
I'm sorry, my phone beat. What was that?
Trump has already been president for 4 years. Do you have any examples of him spreading things around with other Americans?
Yeah, he got the North Carolinians, a bunch of them. They were intense. He put them into apartments.
You got to go through a hurricane before he helps you out?
You asked for an example. That's the one I got.
That's what everybody does, though. I mean, we can talk about Obama with Hurricane Sandy victims. I mean, that's kind of what his job is.
Biden and Kamala didn't do it. They sent him a $750 check and said, good luck. You can't even buy a tent at Walmart for that much money.
What Biden and Kamala did with that $750 in FEMA funds, they did the max, whereas when they tried to increase the amount of FEMA funds people could get, the Republicans voted that down. They wanted to be able to give people more than $750. The Republicans, once again, this whole party that cares about everybody, shot it down.
Give me an example, Tim.
There's an actual bill that was proposed to raise the amount of FEMA funds for somebody that is a victim of a natural disaster. The Republicans voted that bill down. That's the example.
I'd like to see that bill. I haven't seen it. I'm not saying it's not true. I just haven't seen the bill. But
all right, fair enough. I got to move it on. Next time we talk, I'll try to have that for you. It should be pretty easy to find, but the Republicans are the ones that shot that down, man.
Yeah, fair enough. And let me say this, all you people that went ballistic when I said you people, gotcha, baby.
Goodbye. Enjoy your night out. Appreciate
Have a good Saturday night, my friend.
You too. All right, moving on with the program. You know, as you guys know how we run this, we are all about free speech. You're going to hear opinions you favor, others you despise. You can be critical of anyone on the program, including yours truly, because we're all about free speech. We've been MAGA friendly from day one. We always have been. We always will be. Liberals are welcome as well. By the way, if you enjoy this type of open dialogue by all sides of the aisle, follow the program. If you're on TikTok, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram as well. Feel free to follow the program. Trump University and stakes were failures, not fraud. MAGA reacts. I'd have to see more about what happened with Trump stakes. Well, Trump University was actually ruled in court to be more than just a failure. So I disagree with you in saying that Trump stakes and university were failures, not a fraud, because he had to pay the people back for Trump University. He made promises that he had no intentions of keeping. When they joined Trump University, they were promised that they would receive like an assistant that would work with them and things like that. They didn't do any of that. So that Trump University was a fraud. I don't know enough about Trump stakes to comment on it, but Trump University was, he lost in court. They sued him and won. So it wasn't a failure, it was a fraud. Is it true that little Marco confirmed with El Salvador to send U.S. citizens there in exchange for energy? Really? It is true that Marco Rubio confirmed with El Salvador to send U.S. citizens there for exchange. That can't be. Is that, first of all, a citizen? Are we talking about an illegal immigrant, or why would he go send a U.S. citizen to El Salvador? I'm going to say that doesn't sound right, but I don't have enough knowledge on it. A citizen? I see in the comments, Mr. Walter says it's true for real, for real. I haven't heard a citizen? Okay, let Walter come on up. Let me bring him up. I bet if there were and are, they just do say anything about them. European illegals, Gen X would be gaslighting us to help keep them here. Well, you may see that. There's a reason why Trump wants Canada to be the 51st state, and they don't want shit to do with Mexico. Kind of helps reverse that whole replacement thing. Mr. Walter, good evening.
Hey, good evening. Yeah, it's absolutely true that Marco announced that he made a deal where they would accept U.S. citizens to go to El Salvador prisons in exchange for whatever. And they asked Trump about it on camera, and he said, "Oh, I didn't know he announced that, but yeah, but this would just be for the worst of the worst. This is U.S. citizens.
That can't be legal.
Citizens. It's not legal. It's not legal, and that's this is the whole reason I'm here, because he's doing all kinds of illegal, unconstitutional shit, and nobody seems to fucking see it on the right."
Wow. I mean, how can your family, because it's already hard enough for inmates' family members to come see them. You're going to send them to a foreign country? Jesus.
What do you think a prison in El Salvador is like? Do you think that's going to pass any kind of,
no.
International...
It's going to be inhumane. It's going to be inhumane. It's going to be inhumane.
Exactly. And they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They get them out. I don't care. They're horrible. This is the whole thing with Trump. They want to dehumanize people. This is the same thing that came up with, Mustache Man. If you dehumanize people, then the other side, their side, will do whatever they want. They don't care because they're not human.
So are you saying that there's no white people going to go to El Salvador?
No, you know that. Come on. No.
Citizens. Damn.
Yes, citizens. I mean, look it up, man. I'm not, this is the thing, Tim. Like, I know you do these lives a lot and stuff, but a lot of shit's going on, man. You got to keep up with some stuff.
No, I'm keeping up with it, but there's, what did Steve Bannon say, flood the zone? It's impossible to keep up with all of it. I'm literally out hanging out with the family, and I keep an earphone in my ear because every few minutes I need to see. It's evolving too quick. You can't keep up with all of it.
I hear what you're saying. I do the same shit.
Yeah, you can't keep up with all of it.
I'm trying to weed through it, but the truth is that there are unconstitutional things happening. And
we know. I've tried to. There's been 2 or 3 of them so far. I think birthright citizenship is one. That's the 14th Amendment. What else has he done? He's done several of them. The one you're talking about is clearly unconstitutional. There's a couple more that I've been talking about on the program. But didn't the courts just shoot something else down that he did recently? Anything that was voted in by Congress, funding to different organizations that came by way of Congress, he can't stop that by executive order. And he's been doing that. All of that stuff's unconstitutional.
Yeah, the sovereignty of the people is with 3 branches. It is not with the president. He is not king. He cannot name some person to go into all of these federal agencies. It is not constitutional for him to name Elon to go into these, federal institutions and change what Congress has already said what they should spend on this shit. Let me just spend a minute on the USAID situation, okay? You know where this came from, right?
Yeah, we covered that in detail. I had about a 6-7 minute video. Cuomo from News Nation talked about that they had an investigation on Elon because they're not even in the top 10 in terms of biggest entities for money. Like the military, if you're going to stop wasteful spending, the military would be one of the first places you would go. The USAid is not even, I think he said, not even 1% of our budget. So why would you start there? And then he talks about how that with his Starlink, and he was making money, by the way. You also don't hear about the fact that Elon Musk himself received money from USAid. They don't tell you about that. But they opened up an investigation on him.
Billions.
Yeah.
This guy got billions of dollars. Yeah, I didn't know you had that convo. So all I'll say is that the one talking point I hear about it is Politico is, on the payroll. Let me ask you this. If you're a reporter and you want to get a subscription to a news service, that's where you go. You pay for that service. They pay for every service. I'm going to try to do a story on this or that, but Politico, it's behind a paywall. It was $40,000 for 1 year for a bunch of people to get those subscriptions. It wasn't 8 million that they said it was. It's all bullshit.
Yeah. Well, also too, I would add that during Trump's trial, the CEO of the Inquirer made it clear that Trump and his lawyer at the time, Elon Musk, was paying them. That's a media outlet. I mean, so Trump was paying them to get bad stories on Ted Cruz at the time. The whole his dad killed Kennedy, and then he had the Inquirer putting bad news stories out there on Hillary Clinton. He was paying the news media outlet money to run stories that were beneficial to him. So he's done that.
I will say to these right-winger people is that, can you imagine the world's richest man going in and taking money for SNAP benefits from poor kids who looking for breakfast from schools? I mean, and these people call themselves Christians. This is absolute fucking robbery. Robbery, and it's happening right in front of our eyes, and they don't see any of it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that's what I've said. I've said on the show many times. That's what kind of has made me stray away from Christianity, because I'm like, if what we do in America, if you can be a Christian and do all this stuff, and it doesn't come across as being that reputable to me. I mean, I often bring up the Confederates, all of them folks are Christians. I mean, the slave owners, I mean, the Klan, all of them folks are Christian. Like, I mean, they were burning crosses. They clearly believed in God. Like, if you can go to heaven doing all this stuff, shit, what's going to be there for me? So it's made me more hesitant.
It's like I always say, there's no love like Christian hate, brother. They hate. You tapped on it earlier. It's about the hate. They love to join in on the hate. These people deserve hate. And that's what it is. That's what it is.
Well, I think it's the new way, at least for 4 years.
I agree. And it's a fucking sad state. And, if you think you're a Christian and you believe in this shit, evaluate yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Put your eyes in the mirror for 2 minutes and talk to yourself about it. I dare you to do it.
I don't think most people think it's hate because most Americans do not like to, well, I won't say Americans, probably most people in general, but most Americans I talk to, nobody admits hate. Like I had a show a couple of days ago and I asked that question, does Trump hate the transgender? And the word was so shocking. Everybody that came on said no. But then I asked the question, you've heard Trump say a lot of things about the transgender community. Have you heard him say anything at all that was either positive or neutral? And the answer was undoubtedly no. 100% of the stuff Trump is saying about the transgender community is negative. So then I asked the obvious question, what would be the difference between Trump and somebody that hates him? I mean, what's the difference? I mean, everything he says about the transgender community is negative, but he doesn't hate them. Then what does somebody who hate him do? I mean, there's not one thing he's saying is even neutral. It's all negative.
Less than 1% of the entire population, and he's just focusing it all on there because he's throwing red meat to the wolves. They love it. They love it. They love that hate. These people are demons. These people are that. They eat it up, and he knows it. He loves to play on it. Well, remember Obama talking about appeal to our better angels, and that shit is gone.
Bro, 4 more years, I got to move it on there, Mr. Walter. But man, that El Salvador thing is frightening. U.S. citizens going all the way to El Salvador. That is frightening. And by the way, that's a huge waste of money. I don't know why you would send Americans all the way down there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just to keep feeding the beast, man. That's what they do.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.
That is horrible. Wow. Now, I know El Salvador had agreed to take in illegals, or undocumented folks that did not have a place to go to. Like Venezuela was not accepting their citizens back. China's not accepting their citizens back. So we're going to send them, which to me still is bad, but Americans? The reason I say it's bad, okay, let's say you came over here from China. You're in the country undocumented. So China won't take you back, and they're going to send you to El Salvador. You probably, as a Chinese person, does not speak Spanish, or know anything at all about the Latin culture in El Salvador. So you're literally just sitting there, the equivalent of a deaf mute. I mean, you can't talk. You can't hear because everything they're saying is in a different language and everything you're saying is in a different language. To me, it's inhumane. I get that we don't want people in the country illegally. I'm 100% behind that, but there has to be a level of like, I mean, what's next? If you come here illegally, it's okay to murder you? I mean, like, it just seems cruel to me. I get the fact that people view it as a bleeding heart liberal or whatever. I don't know. To me, it seems cruel. This is where I keep talking about the Christianity thing. You ask yourself, what do you think Jesus would do in that situation? You think he would agree with this? This is where I'm talking about why I'm not very Christian anymore. And remember, Trump said the assassination attempt drew him closer to God. So he's on his knees praying at night and God is telling him to do this stuff? Okay, Will G says, again, the same people talking about going through immigration the right way while their country is going to war and corruption had ancestors bum rush Ellis Island because Europe was in corruption. And yeah, I've said many times, I think we're anti-immigrant because we know what happened when somebody was trusting and loving and let us in this country. We did to the Native Americans everything we feared that immigrants would do to us. Spread diseases, rape and murder, take over the country, change the culture, change the religion. All the stuff we say we feared that immigrants will do if we let them in this country, we did it. So we are the perfect example of takes one to know one. Because nobody has done it as bad as we did. Nobody. We've let everybody in. We've let some Germans in. We've let Italians in. We let, obviously, African Americans are brought here. We've plenty of Hispanics have been coming, even though a lot of it was their country to begin with. But fact is, nobody has come in this country and wore out their welcome or did more damage than we did. And when I say we, I mean the English settlers. Nobody has done a worse job at that. So it makes sense that once we got in here, we like, well, shit, we got to pay attention to who's coming. Because we know what we did when they let us in. So, and I see in the comments, King, every time I say that, people say, well, who is this we shit? The English settlers, all right? Americans. So I'm gonna say we because we're all Americans, but I get that it wasn't Africans that came over here. It was white settlers, colonizers, if you will. Here we go. MAGA says it won't happen. MAGA ain't shit. Well, and that's the problem. You just don't know. I mean, like I said, I think MAGA is doing what MAGA should do, and that is say what's necessary to get their candidate in office. But yeah, people are being disingenuous about a lot of things, and I'll give you an example shortly. I'm still waiting for the time Trump has to travel abroad since he can't because he is a felon, how the exchange will happen to allow a felon in. They're going to overlook it. Keep in mind, we just had Benjamin Netanyahu in the country, and he is a war criminal. He's a war criminal. He can't even go to most of our allies. He can't go to France or Germany. I mean, he's a war criminal, and we just had him here. So they're not going to arrest Trump. He'll be able to go places. They're not going to arrest him. And he's not listed as a war criminal. You're saying because he has 34 felonies on his rap sheet, he shouldn't be able to travel, which you or I would not be able to. But they're going to let Trump go anywhere he wants, as Venom Splat is saying in the comments. Is the goal of immigration and assimilation? Immigration and assimilation, or immigration not assimilation? Is the goal of immigration not assimilation? It wasn't when we came here. You're saying if you're going to immigrate into another country, the goal should be you assimilate with the people. I don't know if it should be. When I went to Australia, I definitely attempted to assimilate in every way. In fact, I remember asking them, like, do you guys have any Australian programming? So I was asking, do you have any Australian programming? And they didn't between us. So, yeah, the goal should be to assimilate. The goal should absolutely be to assimilate. But we didn't do it when we came here. Anyhow, folks, I got to step away. I got something going on. So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, stop the live because something's going on. Appreciate you folks tuning in. I will be back tomorrow. Catch you then.